There we are. All right. Sorry, I had to clear my throat before we signed on there. Welcome in. It is the Rant. I'm Pugs Moran, your humble host every day, Monday through Friday, around about noon o'clock since 2021. Mike's too hot? No, Mike's look good. All right. Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. We got a lot of stuff that we're going to talk about today because there's a lot of stuff going on in the world, and I feel pretty good. I feel pretty good today. You know, a lot of days I come in, we do a little systems check before we get the show rolling. I like to tell you about any kind of cough or cold or maybe lethargy that I'm experiencing. But today we're pretty good. We're pretty good. Don't know how long of a show it's going to be. I always try to promise you at least 2 hours of my absolute best effort. But, sometimes it goes 4. Sometimes we're here. Depends on what's happening. We have a big news story. We could stay later. But I am sort of predicting right here at the outset. It might be about 2 hours today. I got a lot of stuff. You guys have no idea. Our boy in Dallas sports radio, Jeff Kavanaugh, the guy who does cowboy stuff. He's very good at it. He has a saying. He says, be nice to everybody because you never know what people are going through, man. That is so true. Just be nice to people, okay? Because people got shit in their lives that they don't necessarily bring and share with everybody, but be fucking nice, man. All right. Chat room. Let's say hi to the chat room. By the way, how hysterical is it that the chat room is back to being fucked up again? Yeah. Poor Ed, he comes in every day and he pokes around and he tries to get the thing fixed and, and then it goes to a black box and then, the show ends and we come and start another show the next day and then it's right back to where it was. So, Ed, if you're listening to this, don't worry, man. Just leave it alone. I don't like the new layout here that Restream is giving us for our chat room. It's on the side of the screen here, and it's translucent. I don't like it either. I do, however, think that there is a part of my disdain for it that has everything to do with the fact that it's just simply different. That's how we are. This is different. We hate it. We hate it because we're being challenged now when we see it because we don't recognize, we can't take the easy button with this. If it was something we recognized, then it would be something that we'd be comfortable with because, oh yeah, that's what it looks like. But when it looks different, we go, oh, that looks different. And now we've got a degree of anxiety surrounding it. And so what is our instinctive review? It sucks. I hate it. I don't know. Maybe it's not that bad. Maybe it's just different. Chat room. So who was first in the chat room here? Let me see. Let's go all the way back up to the beginning. Who did I see first in the chat room? Who's our chat room winner? Well, multi-time defending champion. Of course, it's Taronda. Hi, Taronda. We got Peter. We got Ape. We got Jen. Taronda again. Okay, where is everybody? Where are all my people today? I need everybody. Come on, man. The first thing you got to do when you sign into the chat room every day is say, hey, Pugs. And then I do the whole romper room thing where I'm like, I see Linda and I see Mary and I see John. It still bothers me that that's completely changed, the whole romper. I don't even think, is romper room a thing anymore? They changed out a lot of the Miss Sallys. Like, I think mine was Miss Sally, but I think there might have been like a whole bunch of different ones. Anyway, at the end of a romper room, and I'm speaking to my Gen X people here. At the end of a romper room, Miss Sally would pull out a mirror and she'd look into the mirror and she'd start saying names of kids. She'd be like the premise being that Miss Sally could look right through the TV into our living room, eating our bowl of cereal, watching romper room. And oh my God. Every single day you sat there and you waited for your name and you're like, yeah, she saw me again. Well, I had a fairly common name, not Pugs. That's a nickname. John is my Christian name. She said that all the time. She's all the time. I'm like, she's talking to me again. Me, I got a kid named Mason. If he had grown up in the romper room era, she's never going, I see Noah, I see Mason, I see Jebekiah, we got stupid names now is my point. And it's just ruined another wonderful thing about being Gen X, and that was the romper room name game at the end of the show. All right, come on. We got Maddie in the chat room. Maddie's going to join us in about an hour here. We're going to talk about the State of the Union. I didn't watch it. I gave it a chance. And then I'm like, nothing has credibility anymore. I have no idea what this fucker is talking about. So Maddie's going to join us. Maddie watched it. She got a lot of hot takes. I'll hang and bang with the hot takes. You know me. But all I've seen are clips. And, whether you're right or left, I've seen you screaming on the Twitters or the Blue Skies or whatever it is, Facebooks. I've seen y'all scream. I've seen your reviews. I'm interested in Maddie's take. We're going to do that about 1 o'clock. Maddie will join us. We'll talk about the State of the Union. A lot of other stuff that I want to get into too today. Let me tell you. Let's run down these things. How are we gonna? In no particular order. How's that? We'll just say no particular order. We're gonna start off. Well, I guess this is a particular order. He just said no particular order, and now he's like, "We'll start off." Well, we're gonna start off with Savannah Guthrie stuff. We're gonna talk about this. We haven't talked about it in a couple of days. How long does it take America to collectively not give a shit about somebody's lost mom? About 3 weeks. I think we found out it's 3 weeks, right? 9/11, September 11th. Every car had a bumper sticker that said "Never forget." How long did that take? I'd say 10 years. I think 10 years we never forgot. And then year 11, we're like, I forgot. What are we not forgetting? I forgot. What are we not forgetting? So 3 weeks. We're going to touch base with the Savannah Guthrie investigation. Savannah Guthrie made a new video. We'll watch that. As difficult as that is to do if you're a decent person. Oh my God. All right. So also we got Epstein stuff. I love to find the good Epstein stuff. And I think I found some good Epstein. I don't talk Epstein every day because every day there's not good Epstein stuff. Well, let's be honest. If Epstein's involved, none of it's good, but interesting Epstein stuff might be the way that we can say it. I want to talk a little bit about Epstein and his relationship with Stephen Hawking. Because this is one of the more over the course of the slow roll of the release of the Epstein tapes, we have seen numerous mentions of Stephen Hawking, right? I think we saw pictures. Well, we got pictures now. We got pictures of Stephen Hawking. So we'll look at those. But I want to talk, let's get into the Stephen Hawking is one of Epstein's pedophile buddies. Let's get into that conversation and talk about if that's really a real thing or if it's just another one of these, oh, wouldn't that be fun to say? Let's figure that out. Also, Bill Gates. Holy shit! Bill Gates had a Microsoft. What does he own Microsoft? I mean, I know he owns everything, but he held like a town hall for all the people that work for him. I guess this is Microsoft. He held the town hall and he was basically apologizing for, Bill Gates has been named in the Epstein files numerous times. And he divulged a relationship that he's been having. And wait till I show you the pictures. That's all I'm going to say. This is like one of the wealthiest men in the world. And this is the affair. I'm telling you, I've had a theory ever since I really looked at John Lennon and Yoko Ono. I've had this theory, and it is pretty much held up. It's watertight. Here's the theory. If you are a guy who can get any girl in the world that you want, example, if you're a Beatle in 1967, you're right, John Lennon could get any girl he wanted. At the very least, they would talk to him. They would give him the time of day. John Lennon didn't walk into a club in London in 1970 or whenever it was, and girls weren't like, go away, my boyfriend's coming. Like, that's not a thing he ever experienced, okay? So my theory is this. When you have that, and to some extent, because of his vast wealth and fame, Bill Gates also probably enjoyed this. But when you have that, when you have the ability to get any girl you want, looks kind of take a back seat. That was the whole thing with John Lennon and Yoko Ono. He could have banging Marianne Faithfull, and he's running around with groups. John Lennon was having some fun when he left. Christina? Was it Christina Lennon? Cynthia Lennon. When he left Cynthia, his wife, Julian's mom. when he left Cynthia, he like ran around, these fashion models, Ronnie Spector. I mean, my God, the women John Lennon was with during that period before meeting Yoko Ono is pretty tremendous. And then you see him, he's with Yoko Ono, and you're like, well, because looks do not matter as much when looks are just whatever. And I think maybe Bill Gates has a bit of that too. Although I don't know that Bill Gates has the track record that John Lennon had of like a, bevy of beauties in his past. But whatever, we'll get into Bill Gates and his weird relationships. That also kind of tangentially ties into the Epstein stuff because Bill Gates is holding this town hall among his employees because of the Epstein stuff. We're also going to talk about, let's see, what else do we have here? Did I mention the Pedro Pascal thing? Okay. Again, this is going to be a fun little social experiment that we're going to talk about here. Pedro Pascal is like one of my favorite actors. Anything Pedro Pascal does, I will watch. Hell, I even like Wonder Woman 1984 because of Pedro Pascal. First came to my radar on Game of Thrones. He was like the most interesting character in Game of Thrones. And that's saying something because there's a lot of interesting characters in Game of Thrones. So he's also like my 16-year-old son's favorite, alpha male badass kind of actor. And that's kind of how we were introduced to Pedro Pascal as this sort of, especially with Game of Thrones and in like the Gladiator movie. And he's a badass. He's like kind of a cool guy. The Last of Us, Joel on The Last of Us. He's, so he might be gay. And people are kind of freaking out about this because of some pictures that were released yesterday on TMZ. And I don't want to talk about, him being gay or not, because that doesn't matter to me in one bit. Doesn't matter to my son either. And I love this. I love the new generation. My 16-year-old son, I'm talking to him as I do, because we are separated right now. So we're talking last night, and I go, hey, did you see this thing about Pedro Pascal? And he's like, what? And I go, because that's how teenagers talk to you. And I go, you see this thing about Pedro Pascal? He goes, what? And I go, I think he's gay. And my kid goes, so? I'm like, oh, man. Oh, yeah. I love it. I like that, man, because that shouldn't matter, right? Look, if he's gay and he happens to be irritating, which is the distinction that I like to make a lot. There are a lot of really irritating gay people. And just because this flaming, flamboyant gay guy gets on my nerves doesn't mean that that's how I feel about all gay people, right? I don't like the Jacks from Will and Grace, right? I don't like the Paul Lynns. I don't like the overly effeminate and sort of condescending cynicism of that personality. But it has nothing to do with who they're sleeping with. Anyway, so we'll get into that. And I want to talk about how we've changed, how we've changed when we hear these things. And we're going to start out that conversation by how it was reported, which I think is a great step forward. So we'll talk about that as well. What else do we have here? Oh, man. Ay. Do you love Martin Short? I love Martin Short. Martin Short has had 8 weeks that you wouldn't wish upon anybody. Poor Martin Short. Martin Short has had like a rough 20 years, really, if you want to like do all of that. We're going to get into the latest tragedy in Martin Short. So we'll tell you this. No, you know what? I'll save it. But we're going to talk a little bit about the great Martin Short, and we're going to keep a good thought for him. And we're going to go through the litany of just awful things that he has experienced over the last couple of months, culminating with the discovery of his 42-year-old daughter dead yesterday. Just terrible for someone I love so much. It's all right. So we're going to talk about that as well. We're going to get into that. What else do we have? Some music updates. We'll talk about Journey. We'll talk about U2. Oh, also a fun list if we have time. A fun list of the most deceitful states. You know how I love my studies. Whenever the new studies get released, I'm always like, what new studies do we have that I can talk about on the Rant? A new study on the most deceitful states. Which states in these here United States is lying sacks of shit? That's what we're going to look for. Who is the biggest lying sack of shit? Do you have any guesses? Chat room, just before, and we're not going to do this for a while, but chat room, help me out here. Give me your guesses. What do you think is the... Oh, and don't go Googling it. Jesus, you can't have any fun the way you used to. Everybody's right now Googling what's the most deceitful state. So, all right, never mind. And then you can't win because anybody who just organically guesses the correct state, I'm going to see it. I'm going to go, that fucker cheated. So let's just move on, shall we? Anybody new in the chat room? Yeah, we've got some Johnny-come-latelys. Let's say hello to... I want to make sure I get everybody. Let's go all the way back up. Last one I saw was, I think, Maddie. So we got Maddie, we got Peter, we got the GOAT, we got KB, we got Adam. Hold on, keep going. Ed just wants me to use the mouse, and it would probably be much easier for me to do these things if I use the mouse, but I can't get used to using a mouse. We've got Adam here in the chat room. We've got Billy Boy, Billy Folk, Jen Speed. We've got, who else? Anybody else? Keep going. Oh, look what I did. I did something stupid again. Remove. No. Sorry. We get rolling, and Adam in the chat room, he's got something. He says John Lennon isn't all that attractive himself, and not that it matters as much. Yeah, man. Well, one, I don't really know how to gauge dudes. Have you ever noticed? I mean, I know how to gauge dudes. The obvious dudes I can gauge, right? Prime Brad Pitt. I can look at him and go, yeah, it's a good looking guy. I can see why chicks want him. Prime Tom Cruise, prime George Clooney, prime Leo. I can look at these, attractive men and go, yeah, it's obvious to me they're attractive. But once you get into a lower level where there's some discussion to be had, I think that men are like women. Have you ever noticed that women have the worst taste in other women? They have terrible taste in other women. Now, I've got a couple of theories on why this is. If a woman says to you, you need to meet my friend Jenny, and the guy's first question will be, what she look like? And she'll be like, oh my God, she is so cute. You are going to love, right? And then you meet Jenny and you're like, she's not so cute. She's just kind of Jenny. She's just kind of normal. Anyway, this has been my experience. But my theory is this. Because these have all been drawn from personal experiences, here's what I think. I think that maybe because these women are talking to me, that, look at me. I sure shit ain't Tom Cruise in 1987. Okay. All right. So I think these women are looking at me and going, well, she'll be cute for him, which I'm just offended by. By the same token, I don't know. Adam says John Lennon's not attractive. I can look at some, early Beatles stuff and be like, he's attractive. I mean, I guess he became hippie with the long hair and all that. And then he wasn't trying to be hot, Mick Jagger was trying to be sexy. Mick Jagger wasn't Lennon was more of the artist kind of thing, which I believe for a lot of women is as important in certain degrees. I don't know, whatever. Adam, I don't know. I thought John Lennon was all right. I wouldn't think of him as... That's a question. Who was the best looking Beatle? Huh? How about that? Has that ever been asked? I'm probably back in 1965 it was asked. I don't know, who was the best looking Beatle? George Harrison was pretty good looking, right? He's a pretty good looking guy. Paul's got big doughy eyes. I think girls thought he was cute. Ringo, but even Ringo, he's a Beatle. He got Catherine Bach. All right, we're going to get out of this. I'm falling into a hole where I'm just... Billy Folk, because he's an honest man and good at trivia. I asked the question, what do you think is the most lying, deceitful state? He went with Virginia. He'd be wrong. I'll tell you later in the show what the list of the most deceitful states are. Maddie is in the chat room. She's going to join us in about an hour. She's going to give us a breakdown on the State of the Union. She says women don't quantify attractiveness even as looks in the top of priorities. So that situation isn't really that much of a factor, Adam. Yeah, I mean, she's saying Adam's he's not even that attractive. I don't know that that's true. I mean, just from the beginning, that might be a false contention. I don't know that that's true, but we'll go with it. I think he was bringing other things, like worldwide global fame and, to a very large degree, an extensive artistic repertoire, right? I mean, he kind of did stuff that people thought was cool. So that's got to on some level be attractive to women. The money doesn't hurt, right? Anyway, what are we even talking about? I don't even know what we're talking about. All right, Adam. Adam says the female gaze is completely different than the male gaze. I think I don't know that that's true. And I know that Maddie kind of almost said the same thing, but I think hot is hot. And I think that we are sexual beings who are built to be triggered when we're attracted by something that is obviously hot. And I think to that degree, I think women are just like guys, but maybe only at the top level. Whereas guys will like, oh man, she's so hot, like over a day shift stripper. Women sort of reserve that for going back to the Bobby Soxers and Frank Sinatra or the Beatles, the girls screaming and all that. I think a girl knows a hot guy. I think when a hot guy walks in a room, a girl will say to her friend, that is a fucking hot guy. No different than a guy will when an obviously hot girl walks in. But I do think the differences begin to show when we're talking about the non-obvious hots. And there's a lot of non-obvious hots out there. All right, let's get started straight out. We'll get the show up. I do want to say this, though. We have an executive producer. And once again, I know some of you folks have tipped, and I really do appreciate it. But just one more time, executive producer is Heidi. Heidi helped this show last month to a degree that I can't tell you how grateful we should all be towards Heidi. So Heidi is, for the rest of this week, going to be our executive producer again. Thank you, Heidi. You earned it. But if you want to be the executive producer of this show, and what does that mean? Well, the executive producer of the show is the person who tipped and supported this kind of talk radio to the greatest extent the day before. So if you today tip more than anybody else, and let's be honest, that's like $10, $20. You tip more than anybody else for the show, then you get to be tomorrow's executive producer. And as we said, Heidi just came out of nowhere. We were behind the 8 ball because of the move from Dallas to Chicago. We were like 3 weeks behind in all of our bills, and I was trying to play catch up. That was all compounded, of course, by Christmas and in the Christmas bills. And, you good folks out there, you're just like me. You don't have a lot of expendable income here in the month of January or February. So Heidi stepped up out of nowhere and saved the show. So thank you to Heidi. Now, if you want to be the executive producer tomorrow, here's all you got to do. You can just drop a little something in the Venmo or the Cash App. And that's all we're going to say about it, because it's not Tin Cup week. Next week will be Tin Cup week, where we try to get the whole month paid for. But if you are so inclined, there's your opportunity. Thank you, folks. All right. Let's see. Let's get started here. As I said, at 1 o'clock, we'll get into the State of the Union breakdown, because I didn't watch it. I watched a little, and I was like, yeah, okay. I don't believe anything any of these people say about anything. I'm like, it's just, if he gets out and he's like, we've got sunny skies and it's 100 degrees out, I'd be like, no, it's not. And so, I mean, there was just enough of that where I'm like, what are you talking about, man? And sitting up. We'll get into it at 1 o'clock with Maddie. Maddie's going to join us. What's on Maddie's mind? But we're going to start out today with some dark shit. We're going to talk about the Savannah Guthrie situation, because it seems to me that we have all completely lost interest in this story. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? I mean, this was a story. What is our shelf life for being interested in a story? Is it 3 weeks? Because that's what it seems to be in the case of the missing Today Show host's mom. We were all about it. Oh my God, did you hear? Savannah Guthrie's mom was taken. And, I was staying up in the middle of the night, and I'm listening to police scanners, and I'm watching streamers on YouTube, and I'm following it on Twitter, and I'm absolutely obsessed with this. And then, which I suppose is human nature, there was no payoff. And we all went, so this could go on forever. And then we all moved on with our lives. As we do, man. But that is a condition of the fact that we watch these tragedies befall other people. And it doesn't always have to be a celebrity. The Savannah Guthrie Today Show host thing supercharged this story. Let's be honest, we probably wouldn't have heard much about this story had she not been Savannah Guthrie. Hell, Mom might not have even been taken if she wasn't Savannah Guthrie. But my point is this. We all got wrapped up in this story, and we have this connection to the daughter, and we all have moms, and we all love grandmas. I mean, although maybe we don't love grandmas, because wasn't that what the left was pushing during COVID? Weren't they like, save your grandma? And they're like, I ain't wearing a mask. So, maybe that's just another one of these performative things that we pretend that grandmas are important. I happen to think grandmas are very important. So we don't know we know nothing. Here we are coming up on 3 weeks that Nancy Guthrie has been missing there from her home in Tucson, Arizona. And we know nothing. Nothing. Savannah Guthrie made another video. Let's watch this video of Savannah Guthrie. She has raised, here's the point of the video, but she also says some other interesting things, and we'll watch it. And guys, it's 4 minutes. We're going to sit here for 4 minutes. I'm going to drink a cup of coffee. We're going to watch this. And then we're going to talk about it. Because she reveals some things that I think we have all known, the quiet part out loud, if you will. She reveals some things that I think we've all known for a while. I mean, not to bury the lead here, but I think I told you like 4 days in that she is probably not alive. The second video, 1 week in, I guess, 1 week in to this horrible situation, Savannah Guthrie and her brother and sister made a second video. And it was a very strange video. And a lot of people said that she's using words she wouldn't usually it seemed very coded. And I came away from that going, Nancy Guthrie has passed away. Savannah Guthrie, a message has been given to the Guthries that Mom is gone. We still have the body. Do you want the body? Because that's what that second video seemed like. Now, since then, Savannah Guthrie has, in posts and a couple of videos that she's made since, has shown signs of optimism in that regard, almost walking away from any indication that she thinks Mom might be gone. So I don't know what to think, but now we got this new video, and she is admitting now. Well, let's listen to it, okay? This is heartbreaking. It's hard to watch. Am I going to use the video from the New York Post? Okay, why not? I would rather use a cleaner video, but we'll use this if we have to. They're going to give us an ad first? Of course they are. Sure. Hold on, guys. Give me a second here. We'll watch this video. It's the New York Post, so they're going to really sort of ring us on this. It's one of two ads, not just one. No ability to skip. So I'm just filling time. Savannah Guthrie has immediately, it says Savannah Guthrie immediately wanted to offer a $1 million reward for Mom Nancy, but she was told not to. This is sort of the big takeaway from this video that she made, and we'll watch the video in a minute here, but it was revealed that Savannah Guthrie, in the opening hours of this, went to the Pima County Sheriff and said, I want to give $1 million. If you remember, the initial reward was $50,000, and I remember thinking, what? That ain't much. And then they raised it to $100,000, and I'm like, what? That ain't much. All right, let's give a listen to this. Here's Savannah Guthrie, her most recent one. Oh, God. You know, the other thing that I say about Savannah Guthrie, and I've been saying this, is she is such a lovely woman. Does that sound like a I mean, I'm like, oh, what are you talking? She just seems like Savannah Guthrie isn't somebody. Well, then again, I'm not radicalized and weird. Like, if I was radicalized and weird, I might be like, God, 2018, she asked Trump a tough question. Like, if I was a weirdo like that, then maybe. But all things considered, Savannah Guthrie seems like just a lovely woman. Just a lovely woman, a mom. You know, she's got the appropriate level of devotion. You know, she's a faithful woman. She's a woman. She's a Christian woman. But it's not like crammed down your throats. It's always used appropriately. It's hard to watch. Anyway, here we go. Let's watch this. This is the most recent Savannah Guthrie video. This is where she says some of the quiet parts out loud. So let's check this out. And why is this happening now? Why? All right, let's try this. Boop, there we go. All right. Everything's jacked. All right, here's Savannah Guthrie.
Hi there. I'm coming on to say it is day 24 since our mom was taken in.
Whoa. Why does this keep? Whoa. Are you?
And second, and every long night has been since then.
I can't stop controlling. Hold on. For some fucking reason, I can't stop controlling them. Look at this. What? Get out of there. I don't want to control the.
About her.
Unbelievable. We're going to start this over, and I'm not going to fuck with the sound.
I'm coming on to say it is day 24 since our mom was taken.
What the fuck? I can't move. I can't move. I can't move it. I can't move the video. I can't. I don't know what the fuck is going on. I can't move the mouse. I can't move the cursor without the sound. The cursor's in the way other side of the screen, and it's controlling the volume still.
Right from her bed. And every hour and minute.
Look, I can't even change screens. Holy fuck me.
And every long night has been agony since then of worrying about her and fearing for her and aching for her. And most of all, just missing her. Just missing her. We know that millions of you have been praying. So many people have been praying of every faith and no faith at all. Praying for her return. And we feel those prayers. Please keep praying without ceasing. We still believe. We still believe in a miracle. We still believe that she can come home. Hope against hope. As my sister says, we are blowing on the embers of hope. We also know that she may be lost. She may already be gone. She may have already gone home to the Lord that she loves. And this stands.
See, that's the quiet part out loud. They haven't really offered that belief publicly. So that kind of shook me a little because I've been thinking this for 2 weeks now. I've been like, this is not going to end well.
Sing in heaven with her mom and her dad and with her beloved brother Pierce and with our daddy. If this is what is to be, then we will accept it. But we need to know where she is. We need
the body. They want the body back because of course they do.
Her to come home. For that reason, we are offering a family reward of up to $1 million for any information that leads us to her recovery. All of the information about this reward and the details is in the caption below. You can call the 1-800-TIP line. You can be anonymous if you want.
All right, that's good. That's
someone out there.
There you have it. That's Savannah Guthrie. Her latest thing. She announced the reward for information is up to $1 million. The story surrounding this is that she apparently offered the $1 million on day one, and the Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos, right, isn't that his name? He said, no, we're not going to do them. Don't do $1 million reward because that will cause absolute chaos. We'll get millions and millions of fake leads and it'll just make it harder. So he's the one who suggested the 50,000. Now, there is a whole lot of chatter and a bunch of attention grabbing headlines that are accusing this guy. Again, I've watched this thing as close as anybody. And it's been harder and harder to follow this case over the last week because the coverage has gone down significantly because, well, we've lost interest. But there has consistently been nothing but slings and arrows fired in the direction of that county sheriff. And I don't know that that's fair. The headline or the attention-grabbing headlines here are, County Sheriff said no to initial $1 million. The reading of the headline makes us, the news consumer, there's an agenda here. The headline is saying that the county sheriff shouldn't have done that. That's the, what do they say? Perspective brings everything clear. Nobody says that. I don't know. I was trying to say distance makes the heart go. No. Hindsight is 2020. That's what I was trying to say. Hindsight being 2020. People are now trying to use this as another example of the terrible job that this Tucson County sheriff has done. And I think that's bullshit. This poor guy, he has handled himself. He didn't expect this. He woke up one day, the sheriff there in Tucson, and all of a sudden he's got Anderson Cooper screaming at him. I think he's fine. So this whole idea that they could have found her if she had just been allowed to offer the $1 million reward on day one, they probably would have found her. Oh, shut up. You don't know this. You don't know law enforcement. You don't know investigative practices and theory and all that kind of stuff. These experts, the sheriff, and I'm certain the FBI, experts in these things, advised upon their expertise that she shouldn't do it. And now everybody on Twitter and all that is like, oh, it's just another example of how that sheriff sucks. Hindsight is 2020. Well, we do find ourselves in a situation now where Nancy Guthrie's been missing for going on 3 weeks. It'll be on Saturday, and there's nothing. There are no leads. We're finding backpacks and gloves miles away. So we now have to be in the stage where there isn't going to be any kind of I don't believe there will be any satisfactory resolution to this that will make all of us who have been watching the Nancy Guthrie TV show for the last 3 weeks feel like, man, that season really ended with a great finale. No, I don't think that's going to happen. This Nancy, if we're going to compare it to the TV shows we watch, Nancy Guthrie is a show that we all watch that, never got renewed for a second season. And they didn't tie everything up at the end of the first season. And you're just like, it's fucking Deadwood. It is Deadwood of true crime. However, that does allow us to, for next couple of years, out of nowhere, there's going to be like a Deadwood movie. That's right. Like 2 years from now, somebody will be like, we think we found Nancy Guthrie. And we'll all be like, oh, I forgot about that show. I like that show. That's how we view these things. It's why we're able to emotionally detach ourselves from the absolute tragedies that others are going through. It's a glitch. It's a glitch in the human system where we could be better, but we're not. And we like to sort of thrill ourselves with other people's misery and tragedy. All right, let's move on to the Epstein stuff. We've got some Epstein stuff we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about Epstein and Stephen Hawking. Stephen Hawking, Theory of Everything, right? Wasn't that the movie? Theory of Everything. Eddie Redmayne, I believe, played Stephen Hawking. I didn't see it. But I might now. I don't know. Stephen Hawking back in the news. So Stephen Hawking apparently had an ongoing relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein, it should be noted, had many ongoing relationships with the world's top academics, not just the world's top influencers or politicians or ambassadors and diplomats. No, Jeffrey Epstein also courted academics. Now, the reason for this, it's very easy. He ran a money fund, and academia is usually where the next big thing comes from. What's the next breakthrough that we can now take into the capitalist system? It came from the educational system. The professors or the scientists at, UC Berkeley or whatever, they created this thing, and now it's going to be the next big app. That's why you court academics. You're looking for the next big breakthrough that you can put a bunch of money in. That's a reasonable explanation as to why Jeffrey Epstein would have some form of relationship with Stephen Hawking and other scientists. Now, of course, because Jeffrey Epstein is Jeffrey Epstein, everybody associated with Jeffrey Epstein, we start to look at sidewise, right? Especially if it turns out that it's not enough for me anymore to fly on the plane. He flew on the Lolita Express 10 times. Do you know how many vagabond rich celebrities there are out there that are constantly looking to jump on somebody's jet? It's like a normal thing among rich people. Rich, fancy people. You're out to dinner. You're in New York City, right? Your plan is to go to the coast. You got to be in LA on Monday morning, right? But you're in New York City on Saturday evening and you're having dinner with a bunch of friends. And somebody says, hey, when's the next time you're going to be out on the coast? And then this rich guy goes, well, I've got to be in Beverly Hills on Monday morning. And then the rich guy goes, oh, we're leaving out of Teterboro, at 12 noon on Sunday. Why don't you hitch a ride? That's what happens. Rich guys are constantly just jumping on other rich guys' planes. Doesn't even mean they know them. The reason they do this is because rich guys with planes can get business deals done when they've got somebody they want to do a business deal with who's trapped on their private jet for 2 hours. That's why. Social networking, it's a whole elite thing. There is this whole world that the elites live in that we just can't even comprehend. I mean, could you imagine being in New York on Saturday night? Imagine you're a normal person. You're in New York on Saturday night. And you got a meeting in California on Monday, and you don't know how you're getting there. It's Saturday night. You're like, I don't know. I'll just jump on a rich guy's plane, or worst case scenario, I'll buy a last minute first class ticket. It's a lifestyle, man. It's different than you and me. We live differently. So anyway, Epstein and Stephen Hawking are apparently running around. And Epstein has not just been, or not Epstein, but Stephen Hawking hasn't just been on the airplane. He's been to the island. They're like pictures of Stephen Hawking on the island and stuff. So, okay. So that's all pretty damning. It really does look like Stephen Hawking was spending an inordinate amount of time with Jeffrey Epstein at all of Jeffrey Epstein's places. Apparently, Hawking had been to the ranch. And we know what the next thought is. When we hear that about somebody, we go, oh man, he was raping children, right? That's the jump we make. Stephen Hawking wasn't raping any children. What is wrong with you people? Do you know who Stephen Hawking is? Stephen Hawking can't breathe unassisted, okay? So this whole idea that Stephen Hawking is raping children is absurd. Stop it. However, I did learn that Stephen Hawking could get a hard-on, which he fathered 3 kids. Now, he fathered 3 kids all before what did he have? ALS? Was it ALS at the end? He fathered the 3 kids before the disease had completely left him, in the wheelchair with the tube and all of that. So his last kid, I think, was born in the 80s at some point. And all of this Epstein stuff took place in the late 90s, early 2000s, when Stephen Hawking was 100% incapacitated. Somebody's just wheeling him around. And he's like, how old is she? What? That's not what's happening. Well, maybe. Actually, I don't know. Because I did a little research, and it says, while Stephen Hawking remained physically functional in the sexual regard, his first wife, Jane Wilde, noted in her memoirs that his increasing physical fragility over the years made their sexual relationship emotionally and physically impossible. So, I mean, and this book was written in the 80s. This was a book that was written in the 80s. His first wife, Jane Wilde. She's like, yeah, we broke up because he just couldn't have sex at all. But apparently the junk worked at some point. Okay. All right. So let's get into the Stephen Hawking story. Here's, we got some pictures. We'll look at some pictures of Stephen Hawking. And again, I caution you, this is a man who couldn't breathe on his own. So when you see him posing next to a bunch of girls, understand that he was stuck there. Okay. He didn't get up and go, I want to take a picture with these 2 little ladies. Hey, ladies. That's not what Stephen Hawking did. He was like, and he got wheeled into people and they took pictures. And now the man is dead. One of the great minds of all time. The man is dead. And a bunch of idiots. Come on, man. He didn't rape any kids. Professor Stephen, now, it's not to say that, people weren't placed on his lap. I don't know. The photographs showing noted astrophysicist Stephen Hawking with 2 women were released with millions of other documents by the U.S. Department of Justice relating to Jeffrey Epstein. That's the headline. All right, here's a picture. Let me show you an example of this. This man is not a predator, okay? This man was wheeled into situations that he had no control over. Imagine the horror. Imagine. Look at, all right, here he is. All right, here's Stephen Hawking. First of all, the first thing that I will point, actually, let's do all these pictures. View 5. Yeah, we'll view all 5. Why not? We'll look at these. All right, is it a little bigger? It's a little bigger. All right, so here we go. This is Stephen Hawking from the Epstein files. He's there on Lolita Island. Can I just, first of all, I don't see two underage girls here. I know that the faces are, blocked out. These are not underage girls. These look at this woman, looks like she's had 3 kids. This is not, this is like some lab assistant of his that, they're enjoying some time. Who knows? That might have been a thing. Stephen Hawking, you guys, I'm going to reward the entire staff. We can all go to my friend Jeffrey's island. I mean, that's what this might be. We don't know. Everything is out of context. But because Jeffrey Epstein has been demonized to such an extent, anybody that ever shook his hand is now like a fucking pedophile. Stephen Hawking, look at him. And again, I'll also say this. Another observation about this picture. Terrible bikinis. These are not party girls. Okay. Party girls do not wear bikinis like these. Party girls wear, this girl has no boobs. She's fine. I'm sure she's beautiful. Can't see the face. I'm a face guy. I go by face. Sure, she's beautiful. But come on. And then again, obviously, Stephen Hawking didn't get up and walk over and then lay on this chair and be like, come on, ladies. No, he was picked up out of his chair, laid here. He can't even hold the fucking drink on his own. Look at her. She's got the drink on his lap because he can't even hold it, but he's supposed to be raping children. This poor guy. I'm serious. I feel bad for him. He had no control. All right, here we go. Here's a dinner. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, again, I see this dude here, it's not, but this dude looks like Chuck Todd. And this dude looks like Donald Rumsfeld. Like we got Chuck Todd from NBC News and Donald Rumsfeld. These women are not underage. These, this is a woman, probably 30-something, I would say. And again, I think this might be the lab assistant from the bikini that I said looked like she had 3 kids, right? Same kind of body, a little bit doughy. When you think of the women on Epstein Island, you don't think of women who are a little bit doughy, right? So here's a nothing picture. And again, look at this chair. Look, he's got the screen in front of him. This guy isn't raping any children. No matter how, oh God, poor guy. All right, so this is a picture taken, released in the Epstein files. Apparently Epstein, this is crazy considering what we know now. Talk about hindsight being 2020. So Epstein apparently built a one-of-a-kind submarine that he took people out for rides in. Yeah, it was like built for him. It was like, yeah, right? Ocean Gate. So anyway, he built the submarine. It was one of the things that he would do out there on Epstein Island was that he would take these dignitaries and they'd go in his private submarine. And this appears to be Stephen Hawking, again, totally against his will. He's not even actively looking out the window. He is simply pointed in that direction. I don't know about this girl, though. This girl does not look 12, 13, 14, 15, which is the problem. She looks, can't really tell. You can't tell, but I'm not like alarmed when I see this girl going, aha, there's another underage girl. Almost every picture that I've seen from these Epstein files where women are included, even the ones who are blacked out, with the exception of that weird video where he was chasing girls around the kitchen, those girls seemed a little bit young. But all the other ones, I mean, it seems like it was mostly, at least through the materials released, it was mostly, like Russian D-level supermodels, right? It was like mostly just like, women, hot women, like Melania. If you believe that story, and I do. I totally believe that Trump met Melania through Epstein. Absolutely, I believe that. Why? Because I choose to. I choose to believe that. Hell, if you MAGA folks can be out there choosing to believe whatever the fuck you want, I can do the same. All right, let's do it. There you go. That's my take on Stephen Hawking and all these new Epstein pictures of Stephen Hawking. Dude's not responsible for nothing. You got to give him a pass. He didn't know what he was doing. We don't even know if he knew what he was looking at. Jeffrey Epstein was just writing checks. Stephen Hawking was a professor. He runs a lab. They do things. He's got like 100 really smart people working on really smart things. And you need to be, what do they call it? You need a benefactor. You need rich people in order. This is the way it's been going all the way since, well, probably since the Pharaohs, but the Medici. Rich people fund things that smart people need money for. That is how it's always worked. So it's just a simple association between Jeffrey Epstein and Stephen Hawking doesn't mean that we all need to start thinking about Stephen Hawking like some sort of serial predator child rapist. So stop it. The man couldn't even breathe on his own, and you're talking about him raping children? Stop it. You're dumb. All right, now let's move on to Bill Gates. We're going to talk to Maddie here in the 1 o'clock hour. So let's run through a couple of things before we take a quick break, and then we'll get Maddie on here. She's going to give us her take on the State of the Union. I didn't watch it. I watched a little, and I was like, so we'll do that coming up. But first, I want to tell you about Bill Gates. Bill Gates also not even tangentially associated with the Epstein files. Bill Gates is in the Epstein files. And there's been a lot of problems with Bill Gates. Apparently, there was some big seminar over in some fancy place where rich people go for a weekend to have a seminar. Bill Gates was supposed to be the keynote speaker. I think it was Israel. I think it was somewhere in Israel. Bill Gates was supposed to be the keynote speaker, and then an hour before he was supposed to make the keynote address, they fired him. They're like, yeah, you're too hot, man. You're too toxic right now, Bill Gates. The Epstein stuff, we don't want you to be the guy who everybody associates with this forum, so we're going to ask you to step down. So he didn't do the keynote speech. That was over the weekend. Now he's back wherever headquarters is for Bill Gates. Washington, I mean, I think not Washington, D.C., but right? Pacific Northwest. He held a town hall, if you will, with his employees to basically pep talk. Hey, I know you've been hearing a lot of shit about me. And he answered a lot of things that, we had questions about. Bill Gates, for one thing, admitted that he had affairs. Bill Gates had affairs while he was married to, what's her name? I need to remember her name because she's awesome. Bill Gates' ex-wife and Jeff Bezos' ex-wife are like awesome billionaires, and they're doing right by the rest of us with their billions. They're spending it on shit. They're kicking it back in. They're awesome, and I like them. But Bill Gates cheated on his wife, and, you're Bill... Okay, so let's say Bill Gates is the richest man in the world because at various points in his marriage, he was the richest man in the world. If you're the richest man in the world, they say about power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Bill Gates probably didn't get laid until he made his first 10 million. Right? Look at Bill Gates. Bill Gates didn't have game. Bill Gates wasn't, out at a bar on a Thursday night in college with his frat buddies trying to get laid. That wasn't who Bill Gates was. So all of a sudden, the floodgates open up because he's Bill Gates, Microsoft. And if you remember Bill Gates, Microsoft in 1994, you know who I'm talking about. That dude was like a superstar. All of a sudden, who's this guy? He's the new Einstein. He was probably getting laid for the first time in his life. So when you tell me that Bill Gates was cheating on his wife, yeah, probably. Why? Because it's super easy for him. Because he's Bill Gates. Because he goes to a party with other Bill Gates type guys. And, if you stay past midnight, some shit's going to go down. It's when the girls get off and the bus shows up and, the partying starts. So Bill Gates enjoyed something that he probably wasn't accustomed to. But here's my problem. He admitted to having a relationship with a Russian girl, right? So he's talking to his whole company, and he's like, yeah, I cheated on her. What's her name? What's his wife's name? I can't remember. Melinda Gates. Yeah, I cheated on her. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. That was it. Yeah, I cheated on Melinda. I cheated on her with a Russian. Now, I don't know if he met the Russian through Epstein. Probably. That could be problematic. But then it turns out, so he says, I cheated on Melinda with a Russian. You hear that Bill Gates, one of the wealthiest men in the world, is cheating on his wife with a Russian woman. What do you imagine? You imagine like the hottest Russian chick ever, right? Boris and Natasha, honeypot kind of a situation. Bill Gates isn't going to cheat on his wife with a 4. He's not going to cheat on his wife with the cutest Olive Garden waitress. Bill Gates is going to cheat on his wife with like the first runner-up from the 2015 Miss Universe pageant. That's who Bill Gates cheats with, and that's who we're all imagining. Wrong. Bill Gates had a relationship. Let me show you who Bill Gates had a relationship with. It's the craziest. Hold on. I got to pull this. I got to do some tricky stuff here. So. Okay, here. This is the woman. Her name is Mila Antonov. All right. Mila Antonov is the woman that Bill Gates admitted to having a relationship with while he was married to Melinda. This is the Russian woman. Turns out she's not just a Russian woman. She's like a world champion bridge player. Bridge. Yeah, apparently you got to be real smart and strategic for bridge. So automatically I'm going, all right, she was a 10. She was like a Melania Russian chick. Now she's like down because she's smart, but it's still Bill Gates. So maybe she's an 8. Maybe she's an 8. That's what you're thinking, right? Let me show you a picture of Mila Antonov. And it's, by the way, it's got the Twitter sphere going crazy. Here you have it. There you go. There's Bill Gates and the girl that he cheated on with. That's international bridge champion. By the way, is Bill Gates a bridge player? Wouldn't that track? That seems like a dork thing that Bill Gates would be into. Dungeons and Dragons and bridge. Go ahead. There she is. It's fucking crazy, isn't it? You know what I'm saying. This is the woman. This is international bridge champion Mila Antonova. Antonova, which is Russian for daughter of Anthony. But okay, we don't need that. I know Russian history. Okay. Mila Antonova. Dude, she is Greta Thunberg. And that's what Twitter's going nuts. This chick looks exactly like climate activist Greta Thunberg, who is, it's very creepy because I always think of Greta Thunberg as like 15 years old. Like I don't see Greta Thunberg as a sexual being. Maybe Bill Gates does, because he went and got himself a Greta Thunberg clone. How amazing is this? Now, if you think this is just one picture, oh, they just caught her. They just caught her in a weird angle where she looks like Greta. No, there she is. Okay, this is a side-by-side. This is the actual Greta Thunberg, and this is Bill Gates. How wild is that? Clones exist, you guys. That's not Greta Thunberg. That's international bridge champion Mila Antonova. Look, it's crazy. It's insane. All right, now let me show you a legit side-by-side, because this is, here you go. Here's the legit side-by-side. They're twins. They're absolute twins. So now I want to stop sharing that. There's my side-by-side. All right, here we go. This is the one I wanted to show, because this one is really stunning. Look at that. Here, we'll make it bigger. Nope. Wait. Bill Gates' girlfriend? Greta Thunberg. Bill Gates' girlfriend? Greta Thunberg. Bill Gates' girlfriend? Greta Thunberg. How fucking weird is that? Come on. I mean, you know. And okay, so I've been looking at pictures of the two of them side by side, right? There is a difference. Like, you can tell a difference. Like, Bill Gates' girlfriend does look a little bit more grown up, if you will. She's a little bit more mature. Like, Bill Gates' girlfriend, the bridge player, she's, you know, she look like a child. Like, when I think of Greta Thunberg, I think of a child. And that's just very upsetting. All right, there you have it. Anyway, I thought that was bizarre. That's why people are commenting today that what happened to did we lose there we go. No, I brought it back. Yeah, total doppelgangers. Maddie says it's a doppelganger. After 45, younger and reasonably thin will do. Barney says after 45 years of age, younger than 45 and reasonably thin will do. I don't know. I mean, my problem, this is my problem. This is why I'll die alone, and I'm fine with that. Actually, I won't die alone, because I will die with somebody that I really enjoy being with, who I may not be sexually attracted to. As I get older, I haven't lowered my, I haven't, and it's crazy. It's like the only person I can be attracted to is like a 32-year-old waitress. It's like, what? It's too young for me now. Like, I can't. I mean, again, we were talking at the start of the show about, women don't know who's cute. I had a girl, I was using an example. I didn't use the real names. I had a girl, she's like, I'm going to set you up with my friend. And I'm like, oh, is she cute? She's like, oh, she's adorable. And then I met her and I'm like, I didn't meet her in a setup. I met her in a group setting. I'm like, that's the one she was going to set me up with. I was promised adorable. That is not adorable. Tell her I want to speak to her. I don't know. Compromise on what I'm attracted to hasn't occurred yet. And I know that among men, that compromise happens. Unless you're wealthy. If you're really wealthy, then you can be a 65-year-old guy in a fancy suit with gray hair with a 28-year-old Brazilian model, if you want. Do they have models in Brazil? Is that a Brazil thing or is that Colombia? All right, here's what we're going to do, folks. One more time, I want to thank our executive producer of today's show. It is the incredible Heidi. She saved the show last month. So we do appreciate that. And if you want to be a person who is our executive producer, all you got to do is drop a little something, be the big tipper of the day, drop it in the Venmo, drop it in the Cash App. That's how this show runs. We're going to take a quick break, though, because I got to run to the bathroom. And when we come back on the other side of this, we're going to talk State of the Union with Maddie. Maddie's going to join us. She watched it. I didn't. I have questions. She's got hot takes. We're going to do that and more. Give me about 3 minutes. Let me run to the bathroom and fix me a cup of coffee, and we'll be right back. Deal? All right, here we are. We are back for part 2 of today's show. Oh, hold on. Hold on one thing real quick. Wednesday is spelt strangely, right? Can we all agree? Can we all agree that Wednesday is not how we pronounce it? That Wednesday is... All right, we're going to move into the second half of the show here today. We're going to start off with a little segment that we call What's on Maddie's Mind on a Wednesday. Maddie's on the phone. Hi, Maddie. Are you there?
I am.
There she is. Can we all hear Maddie good? I think we can. I can hear her. Can you hear her? Please, chat room, let us know. We don't want another embarrassing situation like we had a couple of weeks ago. Now, Maddie, I told you, we were texting last night. I wasn't watching the State of the Union, but you were. And I asked, okay, so you tell me about it. We're a couple of coworkers, and I just showed up. And I'm sitting in my cubicle, and you lean back out of your cubicle, and you look me in the eye, and you say, did you see the State of the Union? And I say, no. And you say, well, let me tell you. Maddie, take it.
Yeah, well, so not only did I watch State of the Union, but I played State of the Union bingo last night.
Oh, yeah. Wait, did you send me a card? I think I was going to try and show your card, right?
I did. It's in your Facebook in direct message.
All right, so bingo. So State of the Union bingo. Explain how that worked.
Yeah, so instead of watching it just on like C-SPAN or CNN and, you know, with the overlay of the news coverage and the biases and stuff, there's a podcaster out there that I watch by the name of David Pakman, and he streamed it live, and he was playing this fun bingo that you could go on his website and you could check off the boxes of what would potentially he would cover during it, which made it a little bit more interesting because I knew watching it was going to be tedious.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right, here, let me show everybody your bingo card here. We'll pull it up.
Yeah, I almost got blackout.
So this is all right, here we go. Here's Maddie's bingo card from yesterday. I how can I read these? Let me see. We've got in the B column, we've got attacks the Supreme Court. You check that one. You hit on that one?
Yeah, he attacked the Supreme Court.
All right, then hold on, let me go through it because I'm trying to figure out these. All right.
I don't see it on the screen. There we go.
There it's there. Well, you're 30 seconds behind. That's why you didn't see it. All right, bingo. Under B's, you've got attack Supreme Court. He did that. Slurs his speech. He did that. Claims he won in 2020. He did that. Claims to have solved immigration. He did that. The only one from the B column that he didn't hit was Nobel Peace Prize mention.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So he didn't mention that. In the eyes, you were looking for makes a 2-week promise. That's one of my favorite things that he does. And he did not do that last night. He did not promise anything would come to fruition in 2 weeks, which is something that anybody who knows anything about marketing knows that is the amount of time that it takes for people to forget about something. That's brilliant. All right. Also in the eyes. Threatens a country. So what is this one, Maddie? Is this just like threatening a new one, like Canada
or like saying he's still going to bomb? He actually did not go as far as to say that he was going to kinetically enact something against a specific country. He did mention Venezuela, but in the past tense portion.
He didn't threaten Czechoslovakia for no reason, right? He didn't do something like that.
By the way, tonight I'm going to bomb Iran, USA. Like, he didn't say that.
All right. Then also in the eyes, this is State of the Union bingo. Under the eyes, we've got says U.S. is now respected. You click that one. He did that. He says the U.S. is now respected.
Oh, yeah. No, he very much. That was a lot of grandstanding about how we were again and yet the hottest country and that people were so jealous. And in fact, he went so far as to say that he has been winning so much that people are begging him to stop winning.
Why do so many people not recognize this as just a salesman? You know, just project speaking things into existence, which is what he does. He just says stuff that is just patently untrue, but he says it in a way that is so confident that people who don't know the truth are going to go, well, I trust him because he said it so confidently. He is always selling, says the U.S. is now respected. All right, we got to check on that one. Also in the eyes, we've got confuses asylum and insane asylums. All right, so this is a situation he's done before. He confuses the act of political asylum with mental asylums.
Yeah, he didn't mention any manner of asylumness last night.
No,
or immigration was definitely touched on, but not in the term of asylum or insane asylum.
And yeah, no crossover of the two meanings of the word asylum that he doesn't seem to know or make a distinction. Ballroom mention. He also didn't mention the ballrooms. That's the eyes. Now, in the N for bingo, the N column, we had claims best economy. Maddie, you check that one.
Oh, yes. No, he was very pro his current economy, $18 trillion coming in from tariffs and from other countries that we're so wildly desire. 18 trillion.
All right. Hold on, let's run through these. So the next one that you also crossed off, which this should have been the center square. You knew this was happening.
Of course.
Blame Biden. And we crossed that one off because, of course, he's blaming Biden for stuff.
They're almost interchangeable. You can almost always bet that he's not only going to say some form of a lie, but always blame Biden.
I know I know it's been a couple of years now, but I mean, like when I think back on the Biden years, I don't think of the dumpster fire that we're living through right now. What I think of is a time when there was so little horrible things going on that the most widely spouted accusation against Biden was that he was just too old. That was the comment. That was the problem, that Biden was just too old. But now here we are, and apparently we went through some sort of dystopian nightmare under Biden. I don't remember that.
Yep. But it is his scapegoat, his most famous one. It is his favorite scapegoat, and we all know that.
Well, blame Biden couldn't be the center square, because the center square on this bingo card is falling here in the N column is tells a lie. That's your free square.
Free square. We know it to be true, always and forever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, take your pick on what he lied about. I mean, my go-to would always be the stopped 8 wars. I like that one. That's one of my favorites.
Because he definitely mentioned that.
All right. Now, also, so we checked that one. We checked claims best economy in the ends. We claimed blames Biden in the ends. We checked tells a lie. That's a free card in the ends. Now, the next one here is claims victory on trade. You crossed that one off too. Yeah, you did.
Yep. That all rolled up in his meandering, nonsensical speeches, and it just run-on sentences is about how the economy and the $18 trillion, and we're getting all this money from these countries that we've never gotten before, and everything's perfect and it's all great, and we're winning like nobody's ever won before. So much so that that people are begging me to stop winning. Yes.
Yeah. Can you handle it? Winning. I mean, it's like Charlie Sheen territory at this point. Remember when Charlie Sheen was like
Tiger blood, baby, Tiger blood.
Charlie Sheen was the worst representation of a human being for about 6 weeks back in 2010, and everywhere he went, he told everybody, "Don't let your lion eyes fool you. I'm winning. Tiger blood. I am great." Speaking it into existence. Our president has a little bit of Charlie Sheen in him. Finally, the last one here in the N column was personal insults, and we of course did that. That's your bingo. You got bingo in the ends, Maddie.
I got bingo in the ends. I got bingo across the middle, and I almost got some diagonal bingos. We didn't quite get there. He didn't deliver on a few things that we were expecting.
Let's go into the G's now. We've got ended 8 wars. That's one of my favorites. Because
listed by war.
Yeah, see, I've seen them do that before, like, because I've been into. I'm like, wait, 8 wars? We didn't. There weren't 8 wars that were ended, but then they list like these skirmishes and stuff, that we don't know what role we played in ending this tribal warlord's beef with another tribal. It's like that's not really one you can take credit for. But if we are, can we start counting up Biden's solved wars or Obama's solved wars? Because these things happen all the time. It's the duty of the State Department to be involved in all of these different skirmishes around the world, but we don't get to take credit for solving the fucking wars like this guy does.
Obama literally got Osama bin Laden. So I doubt.
What's that? That's got to be worth
personal insults, because he called the entire right side of the room, which was the Democrats, crazy in his speech. These people are crazy.
So how many wars could Obama have claimed he solved by getting Osama bin Laden? I'm sure he would have claimed a problem with Pakistan, solved that one. Of course, there was the Taliban. We got the leader. We won that war. I mean, seriously, if we're doing it like this, there weren't 8 wars that the United States got involved diplomatically and solved, or militarily and solved. It just didn't happen. And he keeps saying it. And it's one of those deals where if you say a lie over and over and over again, somebody's going to believe it. And then as time goes by, that lie is going to take on some legs, and people are just 20 years later going to think it's true. There's going to be a book in 20 years, The 8 Wars Trump Solved.
Correct.
Yeah. Didn't leave you a lot of platform there, Maddie. I'm sorry.
It's okay. You wrapped it up. I didn't have much to add. That's okay.
All right. Also in the G's, we crossed this one off. Transgender for everyone. Now, what's this? Explain that one to me. I don't know what that is.
Well, yeah, he goes into it. He went into some of his transgender stuff, and in fact, he had a representative there in the audience that he made point to call out. That was this young girl. I felt so bad for her because you could see all over her face. She clearly didn't want to be there. It definitely read the room to me as though her parents were obvious Trump supporters and they drug her up there because they had been invited. And he regaled the entire audience and all of America with this very personal narrative.
Little girl is mortified.
Mortified. She was obvious. She was a fresh, incoming freshman in college, so young girl, and about how she had been going to this school that was forcing her to identify as a male, and then her parents had to get her out of there and get her into a facility and help get her psychology taken care of and all this stuff. And now because she's been saved by the Republicans, she has a full ride scholarship to Liberty University, and everybody please stand up and acknowledge. It was gross, quite frankly.
She's probably horrified.
She was horrified.
Next one is glitches in the G column. Glitches. He always glitches, so that's a free one.
Yep.
Never seen anything like it. Now this, that's the next one. That's got to be him saying, never seen anything like it, right? That's one of the things he says. Yeah.
He says that quite often. That's one of his favorite little taglines. It's so wonderful. We've never seen anything like it.
Never seen anything like it, because again, you're constantly selling, and you're selling the idea that what you're doing is so special that only you can do it. That's what he's always fucking doing that. The other one that he says that I like, people are saying, I love that one. Everybody's saying, everybody's talking about it. Now, this little manipulative device is used to make people who don't know what the fuck you're talking about, who will instantly feel inferior to you because they don't know what you're talking about. But then as soon as you say a whole bunch of other people agree with me on this, then that gives you strength in numbers to go, oh yeah, totally. Other people are saying it too. I totally believe it now. He's a fucking manipulator, and he uses these little devices over and over again. And anybody who is trained, this is why I'm sure he gets no fucking votes at all from psychiatrists, because they can totally see what's happening here. All right, the next one we've got is use his nickname for someone.
He didn't. Usually he has all of his little favorite nicknames. The Gavin Newscum and the crazy Nancy Pelosi, and all the things. He actually didn't. Now, he did call out some people by name. He did make some assertions in their direction. Nancy was certainly one of them. Where's Nancy at? Nancy. But he didn't use any of his little slight nicknames.
All right, so let me ask you this, because Nancy, we're talking about Nancy Pelosi. Is she still in Congress? Like, what does she do now? She's like, I thought I don't know, did her husband get beat up, and then is she still in Congress?
Congressman. Yeah, she is.
But she's just not speaker anymore because her party is no longer the majority. So she's now just, back in the mess. All right. Let's see. Now let's run through the O's real quick. Radical left. He didn't say radical left. You didn't mark that off.
He didn't. He called us crazy.
Okay.
He said, all you people are crazy. Look at them. They're crazy.
The next one in the O column is inherited the worst mess in history.
At the outset, first words out of his mouth, the beginning of his speech.
Which is a way that you lay the groundwork for them not blaming you for how terrible it is now. You say, I inherited the worst mess in history. So no matter how bad, this is what he's not saying. So no matter how bad you think it is now, just know it wasn't my fault. That's the whole purpose.
He literally said that America was failing in every way as a nation before he took office. Failing.
Yeah. Drug prices are down by impossible percentage. You cross that off.
Yep. No, he brought up Trump RX and his ideas and about how healthcare in this country is better than it ever has been. All the things. Yeah.
Prices are down. Inflation has been solved. You cross that one.
Oh yeah. The economy is better than it ever has been. Now buyers who buy homes are getting homes at lower prices, but I am protecting the value of the home.
All right. Yes. Well, that all sounds great, and I'm sure that his billionaire friends are seeing, rebounding stock market and all that. But let me tell you something. I drink Coke Zero. Okay. I love Coke Zero. I will drink like a 2-liter bottle of Coke Zero every 2 days. So I go through a lot of it. And Coke Zero is about $3 a bottle. That's absurd. It's absurd when it's on the shelf right next to a generic brand of Coke Zero that has forever been 99 cents. This is at Mariano's here in Chicago. It's a grocery store chain. So I don't buy the Coke Zero. I buy the generic, okay? I buy the generic because it tastes exactly the same. And for years, it's been 99 cents. It's now $1.25, all right? So fuck you, and your economy is better, all right? My soda went up a whole quarter.
Yeah, no, he did mention that. He mentioned, all the prices are going in the right direction. In fact, I was in Idaho this past week, and I saw gas for $1.85.
In fucking Idaho! This is in fucking Idaho, where nobody fucking lives. Of course it's that cheap. You know why it's not that cheap? Anywhere the gas trucks have to maneuver city streets to pull up into the gas station, that's where you get up like $2 more a gallon, because it's more difficult to deliver the gas to a place in the middle of Chicago than it is somewhere in fucking Idaho. So stop being so goddamn disingenuous in showing us that's what it is, the extreme. He led with the extreme low price in rural America, and he put it out there like that's the average.
Yes. But that, he does that. He's very prone to, and not just him, let's just call it what it is. The Republican Party, they love to pull out very specific circumstances or situations and paint that to be that is the circumstance for everybody, because it pushes the agenda further for them. Everything's cheaper because of this one thing that I noticed here in this moment.
And the final one here in the O column, the final square in the State of the Union bingo, is the Dow at 50,000. He certainly championed that. And again, that doesn't help us. That helps his rich friends. So good for him.
Yeah. So, and that was the dissection of his speech. But more notably, in my opinion, was the entire dog and pony show aspect of this State of the Union, which is not what we're normally seeing, right? Like a State of the Union is supposed to be this informative, this is where we're at today, this is where we hope to be tomorrow, and this is where we came from in the past. A lot of economic talk, a lot of, like the diplomatic talk, those kinds of things. But that was not what happened last night. So first off, at the outset, he came in, and this particular Republican, and I had to look up to see who he was. He turns out it was Democrat Republican Al Green from Texas, positioned in the audience.
Not the good, by the way, not the good Al Green. There is a legendary Al Green who is awesome, and then there's this guy who causes problems. But go ahead.
Well, so he found just the right seat on the aisle, that he knew that when Trump came in and was doing his glad handing and shaking hands, that the camera was going to pan over, and he was holding up a sign that said, "Black people aren't apes."
Yeah. So let's you and I talk about that, because I found that absolutely disgusting. And I thought that that guy should have been removed from that place. That was performative. This happened 3 weeks ago. The only reason he did that was to get a little bit of attention there at the State of the Union. If he was going to do something that obnoxious, and it's pretty fucking obnoxious, not to say the least of the fact that the president did do this, but again, it was 3 weeks ago. It was 3 weeks ago. It struck me as performative. It struck me as unnecessary, and I think they handled it the right way. And this is one of those examples of how the fucking Democrats can't get out of their own way. The opposition are a bunch of dick trippers. And go ahead, you might have a different take on that.
No. I have the same take, and and here's the thing. No matter which side we're on, I think that there's a time and a place for outcry. There's a time and a place for drawing a line in the sand. And if at the same moment we are also on whichever party you're representing, if we are saying that there is conduct unbefitting, then it has to be consistent. And I agree, that is not the time, that is not the place. He definitely took that moment for himself to further a message that I don't think in that particular setting was the appropriate place to do so. And he did it very calculatedly. It was obvious.
Let's Joel in the chat room has a great example of the prices that we're paying. I don't know how many of you drink coffee. I drink coffee. Coffee is absurdly expensive. Absurd. I used to be able to get 16 ounces for $9. Now it's 16.
Coffee is extremely expensive, and that's largely in part to the Venezuela thing. A lot of our coffee gets imported from Venezuela.
No, it was expensive before then. Coffee started going up about summer. That's when I started to know, because I'm on a budget and I drink a lot of coffee.
Colombia, a lot of coffee comes to us from South America, and so there's always been these high tariffs on coffee, and that was one of those items that we knew on the outset that coffee was going to be up on for sure.
So longtime listeners of this daily stream since 2021 know that I have been sharing a life hack about coffee drinking. I'm a big coffee drinker. I drink coffee every day. The life hack that doesn't work anymore because coffee is so expensive now is Dollar Tree. Now, I can't speak for Family Dollar or Dollar General, only Dollar Tree. Dollar Tree sells coffee in these little $1.25 6-ounce bags. But the coffee that Dollar Tree sells is gift basket coffee. It is coffee. Oh, okay. It is coffee from like Harry and David or other places like that where they've made too much of them, and so they just sell them. These are little bags that you can get some of the best, finest boutique coffee in the world from the Dollar Tree for $1.25 for a 6-ounce bag. That's my pro tip. It has been my pro tip for years. And guess what, Maddie? Can't do it anymore because everybody is now taking all the coffee from the Dollar Tree.
You gave your hack away. That's your fault.
Well, I don't think it's me. I think it has more to do with the fact that coffee is so expensive, and people who shop at the Dollar Tree started to go, oh, they have coffee here. We should try it. And then everybody's like, oh my God, this coffee's so good. And then one guy comes in and buys it all. I swear I've seen that. Okay, because it was me. But I have bought all the coffee at the Dollar Tree and then been there and it's only like $20. And I got like 50 ounces of like boutique coffee. And they're like, that'll be $20. I'm like, okay. So coffee's a real problem for me. Thank you, Joel, for pointing that out. Price of coffee. It's killing me.
So let's get back on this because we only have a short amount of time to continue, and we have so much more to talk about with regards to the SOTU last night. So, yes, of course, the guy held up the sign. I agree with you, inappropriate. But the whole thing was a giant dog and pony show. I mean, let's call it what it was. And shortly after his, getting to the lectern and being announced, his first big call to action was he brought the U.S. men's hockey Olympic recent gold winners directly down the aisles to congratulate them on their most recent win, and then went on to give a Presidential Medal of Freedom to the goalie.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus.
Now, I know we're going to take this, but I just want to make sure to point out, too, that at State of the Union addresses, awards are not handed out, period. I looked back in history. This is highly unusual activity. This is usually done in the east room of the White House, or if it's something to do with a military thing, it's done at the Pentagon or in some sort of private or semi-private off-campus ceremony. We have never seen a State of the Union address, which is largely for the president to simply talk to the Americans about what's going on in the country. We've never seen Medal of Honoring going on at a State of the Union.
Well, now let's get it right. This isn't Medal of Honor. That's a different thing.
That comes up soon because he doesn't stop at the hockey
right.
team.
But it's the Presidential Medal of Freedom. It is awarded it is the highest ranking governmental award that can be given to a civilian, and it is typically reserved for people who do really great things their entire lives in the communities, right? That's typically who get this. Now, a number of athletes have won the Presidential Medal of Freedom, or been awarded, I should say, the Presidential Medal of Freedom. So let me go through a couple of these names, okay? And we'll show you why I was struck by awarding it to the 20-something-year-old goalie of the hockey team, which was a little bit weird. Presidents began giving this award out to athletes with Gerald Ford. And the very first recipient, this is where the bar was set, okay? The very first recipient of the athlete to receive the Presidential Medal of Freedom was Jesse fucking Owens, all right? Jesse Owens, of course. He's the guy that ran in front of Nazis. He's the guy that fucking upstaged Hitler. He's the guy that meant so much to this country during the ramp up to the war effort. Yes, Jesse Owens wins a Presidential Medal of Freedom, okay? It's understandable. Gerald Ford also gave one to Joe DiMaggio, I think, for banging Maryland. I don't know. But the point is this. Joe DiMaggio was like in his 60s when he got it, not 25. Reagan gave it to Jackie Robinson, right? Obviously, that's a big one. George Bush gave it to Ted Williams. Bill Clinton gave it to Arthur Ashe. George W. Bush awarded Hank Aaron, which obviously, Hank Aaron is a great American. Roberto Clemente was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom by George W. Bush. Roberto Clemente died in a plane crash because he had rented a plane and, against the better judgment of everybody, was flying through a hurricane to get food and relief supplies to the people of Puerto Rico. So yeah, that's a Presidential Medal of Freedom type of accomplishment.
Correct. Not just that you blocked a bunch of pucks.
No, right. At 22 years old, this guy could end up being a fucking rapist. He hasn't. You don't give these awards to young people. Although you can't blame Trump for this because, all right, let's go to Barack Obama. Barack Obama gave Billie Jean King an award, Presidential Medal of Freedom. Tennis player. She was one of the first lesbians that I ever knew of. So, okay, I guess you can make a case for her being brave and socially significant for that. Then we got Stan.
She paved the way for women in tennis sports as well. So, let's give her credit where credit's due.
Yeah, I don't think we should keep giving awards out to people simply for being lesbians. But the first one who, when it wasn't a common thing and she suffered greatly as far as, advertisements and sponsorships and stuff like that. Yeah, okay, she what do they say? What's that saying? Pioneer. Wait. Yeah, pioneers get the arrows and settlers get the land, right? So she was a pioneer. She took all the arrows for being a lesbian, and now there's a whole bunch of lesbians in sport who nobody even bats an eye at. Michael Jordan was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom by Barack Obama. That's it's questionable. I think that has a lot to do with Barack Obama and Michael Jordan being friends from Chicago. I think,
huge basketball fan.
Yeah. So let's, look, Michael Jordan is not a good person. Okay. Michael Jordan is the world's greatest basketball player, but he's not a great person. He's not cool. He's not nice. He's not known for his charity. He's not. Michael Jordan is famously the guy who said white kids buy sneakers too, when he was asked to, say something about exploitation of black youth and all that kind of stuff, and why he doesn't speak up more racially when Michael Jordan was the most famous athlete in the world. He said, because white kids buy sneakers too. Which, he's not a hero. unless you're a Bulls fan, of which I am.
He didn't pull a kid out from in front of the bus.
No. Michael Jordan likes his billions. That's it. He's a party boy.
I mean, it was tragic what happened to his dad, but even in that moment, it didn't make him a hero. It just meant that he suffered a great loss.
No, it means we had empathy for him. That's he went through something terrible. All right, so Donald Trump's first term, he gave out a whole bunch. Donald Trump loves giving out these Presidential Medal of Freedoms, and I think it's because he just likes to meet these people, right?
Well, and I think that he also really loves awards. So, I think that, it's kind of like, what do they call that? Your love language, like some people's love language is gift giving. And I think that he really loves to get awards. So he thinks that's like the highest thing that he can do to show his appreciation and give everybody a medal. Everybody gets a medal, like the Oprah Winfrey effect. You get a car and you get a car and you get a car. And yeah.
All right. So Donald Trump, his first spin there as president, he gave out the Presidential Medal of Freedom a number of times. We're talking about this because I think that he just stream of consciousness a Medal of Freedom to the hockey goalie. I'm pretty sure he just came up with that in the moment and decided he was going to give the hockey goalie the Presidential Medal of Freedom. But he has given them out before. He gave Roger Staubach one back in 2016.
Is that significant? Did Roger Staubach do something?
No, not that I'm aware of. I mean, Roger Staubach is a great football player.
A good football player.
He's a great football player, and he's a brilliant real estate developer, I think.
Well, there you go. That's all that he needed. And he loves football, but he hates the dynamic kickoff. But he really loves real estate.
He loves real estate. And Roger Staubach is one of the largest real estate dudes there in North Texas and Texas in general. Tiger Woods. He gave Tiger Woods the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
You know why that would be right up his alley.
Golf. Yeah, he likes hanging out with Tiger. He likes telling people he's friends with Tiger. Let's get Tiger to the White House. I'll give him an award. He'll love me even more. He gave Gary Player, Annika Sorens, a bunch of golfers that Trump wanted to meet.
But he loves golf. So like I said, all his favorites, all his heavy hitters.
Mariano Rivera of the New York Yankees, the legendary New York Yankees pitcher, he was given a Donald Trump Presidential Medal of Freedom, and I'm certain it's just because Trump's a Yankee fan. That's it. I think that's it. But Obama, I think, did that for Jordan. I think, Jordan's a Bulls fan, so he wanted to hang out.
Maybe so.
All right.
No, like I said, but he loves to give out awards. And I found it particularly poignant because, during that game, one of the hockey players took a stick to the face and lost 3 or 4 teeth. Like that's become a viral picture now. And that kid was standing right next to the goalie with his snaggletooth smile, and he didn't get shit.
Yeah, let me help you. Let me help you out there, because it's obvious you're not a sports fan. The missing teeth, that's Jack Hughes. That's the game winner. He scored the game-winning goal. Yes. The reason they won. And he gave his teeth. And he won, and he was given nothing because Trump was impressed by the goalie.
Yeah, exactly. I felt so bad for that kid. I'm like, this poor kid's the smile will never be the same again. He was a young guy. He was a cute little kid, lost his teeth. He was the game winner. They wrapped him in the flag at the Olympics because he was the guy that brought it home, and he didn't even get the damn medal.
And this is no shit on the goalie. This is the good for that goalie. Great kid. I'm proud that he was our American goalie, but I just don't know that he has done enough in his life to earn a Presidential Medal of Freedom yet. Certainly not over and above the other people on the team. Like, it wasn't just the goalie, but somehow Trump was like, nah, the goalie's the guy. Jack Hughes is sitting there like, I left teeth on the ice and scored the game winner.
I got a stick to the face, and I did nothing except this gold medal. But it was a dog and pony show.
All right, hold on, wait a second though. Wait, we got to stop. We got before you go. We got to finish this up because we just got Trump the first term. Because now we're gonna go to Biden, and guess what? Truth hurts sometimes. Biden's the one that fucked this whole thing up. Biden,
what did he do?
I am looking at Biden's list of athletes that he gave Presidential Medal of Freedoms to, and the Olympic hockey kid who was given the Presidential Medal of Freedom last night by Trump, that's got us all like, he doesn't deserve it. Deserves it way more Then a bunch of people that Biden fucking gave it to. So it's Biden who started this whole nonsense of.
God damn it, but Biden.
I know, right? Like you want to be like, no, Trump isn't doing anything that Biden didn't. Biden gave the Presidential Medal of Freedom to Simone Biles. Now she won a whole bunch of gold medals, not just one, and you know.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, but again, personal tragedy, nah. You know, a young African-American girl who, you know, made strides in an Olympic sport that probably largely had maybe not been for her. And she was, you know, wonderful and we loved her. All those things for sure.
All right.
But,
you can make those cases if it's coming through the prism of the Biden, you know, liberal White House. Yes, those would be important things that you would want to honor for your base. I get that. But then he went and gave it to Megan Rapinoe for soccer. Okay. Come on. Women's soccer, I'm glad they won the gold medal. They were a hell of a team, but I care about that as much as I care about men's Olympic hockey. Okay, so if I'm going to have a problem with the goalie for the men's Olympic hockey team getting it, I got to have a problem with Megan Rapinoe getting it for soccer.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, agreed. Like I said, I think that this whole Medal of Freedom thing has just become adulterated to a level where it's like, you know, like, I'm going to give it to them. I'm going to give it to them, you know, like.
Well, what it seems to me is that they're now using it for social media clout. They are awarding this to people who will take.
Gram.
Yeah, or whatever. You know, they're currently influence level relevant people they are trying to. So, you know, nobody's going to give a shit if he gives the Presidential Medal of Freedom to some dude who won, you know, the javelin in the 1960 Olympics. But you give it to Megan Rapinoe and that'll be all over Twitter. That'll be all over. And it looks to me like the Biden administration is the one who figured this out. Simone Biles, Megan Rapinoe, Katie Ledecky, a swimmer. She won a bunch of gold medals. That's great. But again, you shouldn't be you got to be 70. How's that? You got to be 70 for someone to look at your life's work and determine whether it's right.
I mean, you know what? I think we're just old. I think we're too old and we remember how things used to be. And now it's hard for us to reacclimate to this new, like you said, let's do it for the gram. Let's do it for the clicks. Let's do it for the clout. Mentality that seems to have taken over, even in a generation that's older than us in these two presidencies that are, you know, that in their 70s, but they have bought the hype. They, like you said, they figured some things out. Some bigger things, not so much, but they definitely know how to get internet clout for sure.
I don't. All right, let me frame it this way for you. My problem is that I think that he is giving this incredibly important award to people who have not lived long enough to truly earn it, right? That's my problem. That's why I'm saying Joe Biden started it by giving it to a bunch of 20-year-olds. Let me frame it for you like this. What if in 1972, 72 around there, what if in 1972 President Richard Nixon decided to give the Presidential Medal of Freedom to that year's Heisman Trophy winner, O.J. Simpson? How would that have fucking aged?
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
No, exactly. No, I don't disagree with you. I think but I think that it is the typical thing that we have been seeing, and it's just been perfectly framed in this specific example, is that the things that meant things to us in the past, like the Nobel Prize, no longer means what it means when a person who got said Nobel Prize can literally hand deliver it to a president who never earned it. That is where this is. It is trophy handing out for no reason of trophy handing out.
The people who complain the loudest about participation trophies are embracing it. That is what's happening here. It is embracing the idea of honors not deserved. Here, speaking of, let me play this for you. Here's a little clip. Where is it? Let me, hold on. Trump, that very subject of getting rewarded for things that you didn't earn. Here. All right, let me play this for you. This is actually from the State of the Union. Okay, so we can play this. Here you go. This is from last night's State of the Union. Trump. Exactly what Maddie was just talking about here. Let's watch this. Here's Trump. Hold on, here we go.
Myself, and I wouldn't know. I've always wanted the Congressional Medal of Honor, but I was informed I'm not allowed to give it to myself.
All right.
I've always wanted the Congressional Medal of Honor, but I was informed I'm not allowed to give it to myself. And
All right, so he was informed. He doesn't want to earn the Congressional Medal of Honor. He wants it though, and then he was told that he can't just give it to himself. This is a fucking rich kid. This is Fred Trump's boy who never had to earn a goddamn thing in his fucking life, and now here he is. He's at the control switch, and he's just giving himself all the cool prizes that other people who actually merit these prizes earn.
I wouldn't know why I'd be taking it, but if they ever open up that law, I will be there with you someday.
Someday.
He's so gross. He's so gross. I mean, again.
Hold on. You're talking over it. You're talking over it. Hold on.
But you know, that's our highest honor, Congressional Medal of Honor, and that's a big thing. And it's an honor to be in the same room with you. Thank you both very much, Eric. Thank you.
All right, there you go. Sorry, I guess there wasn't much.
Medal of Honor, but I was informed I'm not.
Well, he gave out 2 of those last night. 2 of those. Now, I mean, like I said, here's my thing. Do I think that either one of these young men that he presented these Congressional Medal of Honor to are not deserving of these honors? No, I'm not saying that at all. He gave one of those to a 100-year-old World War II vet who was a Navy pilot who had done something significant in that war. He's deserving of that. The other was a younger guy, but he had been hurt and done something significant. I want to say maybe during the Venezuela thing. I'm not sure. I can't speak to the exactness of it, but he was there. He was on a cane. He clearly had been hurt. I'm not at all suggesting that our military doesn't deserve this, but the idea that this was done at the State of the Union is very unusual. All of this is very unusual. And again, for him to go on to say that he some kind of a way should have been given one to himself, when we know what a Medal of Honor is for someone who has sacrificed themselves in a war. Like, if we think back to the movie Forrest Gump got a Congressional Medal of Honor because he saved his friend in Vietnam.
Right. Earned it. Did something, put some skin in the game, survived, and now you're being rewarded for taking that chance. You said a couple of minutes ago that essentially the Nobel Peace Prize and all of these things, the Congressional Medal of Honor, it's almost as if they're being devalued now by these sort of silliness coming out of the president. I would argue everything is devalued now. I've been saying this for months. I will never again in my life look at the presidency the same way, because I now know that any fucking idiot can get the job. I started watching The West Wing, right? A couple of weeks ago. I just started rewatching it. My 16-year-old son was showing an interest. So I'm like, we'll watch it together. So he's watching episodes. I'm watching episodes. I had to stop watching it, because that is it's a comedy now. Watching The West Wing, you're like, oh, this is how they think it works? Oh my God. There was a time in my life when I thought that was a pretty good example of what life in The West Wing and being president was about. Now I see what this guy is doing, and I'm like, oh. So the presidency for me, the Justice Department for me, well, who else am I angry at? The FBI for me, all of these things have been irreversibly devalued in my mind. I now see that it's all a shell game, and if the right con man gets in charge, we're a house of cards as a country.
House of Cards. I was about to say, it's more like House of Cards to me than it is West Wing. I think that there's no civility, there's no honor, there's no decorum in our.
There's no shame anymore. There is no shame. All right, so we got to wrap this up, but you got anything else?
Yep, two Purple Hearts and a Legion of Merit. So the total medal count for the night, if you want to put it in Olympic terms, was 6 total medals awarded during there. He also trotted out 3 or 4 random citizens and acknowledged them in the audience. One of them was the poor little girl that had apparently had some sort of crisis of identity that he mentioned. He also brought out a random woman who he went through a very detailed story about her as a waitress, and her husband who worked overtime were the fortunate recipients because of his tax plan, were now getting $5,000 a year off their annual taxes.
All right,
and
good
that
for them.
person was acknowledged by name in the audience. and a young girl who had been apparently hit in a car accident in California by an 18-wheeler. And the 18-wheeler driver was an undocumented immigrant, and she was in a bad car accident. And because of that, he announced what he called a new law called the Delilah Law, which will ban CDLs for illegal immigrants, which, by the way, illegal immigrants, undocumented immigrants, I think is a better term here, they're not allowed to get CDLs.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is like, there's a law now. There's Delilah's law that says that illegal immigrants can't get CDLs. They can't get them now. They can't get them now unless they're doing something illegal. So, okay, another law, again, performative. Everything is performative.
Very performative.
All right, we really got to wrap this up because we're going on an hour.
Also newly announced that JD Vance is going to lead the war on fraud.
Okay, great. That's not what I was leading you into, Maddie. We had a prearranged thing that you were supposed to tag it with, and now go ahead.
Well, but are you talking about bouncing back to the Trump watch thing?
Yeah, tell your Trump watch story. So yesterday I was talking about the Trump watch. I wanted Maddie, because she told me the story last night.
True story. I have seen one in the wild because my father asked for a Trump watch for Christmas, and my stepmother gave him one. So I've seen one in the wild. If this literally piece of junk was $500. And then after the fact, I was astonished. I just kind of let it pass in polite company during this Christmas celebration. But I went to go see, because I didn't know how much it was. I wanted to see how much this piece of junk was. And then I saw that this particular watch he had gotten was $500. But can you pull up that picture? So on the website where you go to order these Trump watches, there's a bunch of slick marketing, and there's a picture on there of Donald Trump wearing his Trump watch. Can you please show the audience?
Yeah, where is it? I don't know what you're talking about.
I sent it to you in Facebook DM.
More Facebook stuff. Okay, I never use Facebook, so I'm never over there. Okay, sorry, Maddie. Hold on. Did you just send it? Was that the one you just sent?
No, I sent it to you prior to that.
Okay. Oh, sorry. I wasn't ready. I wasn't prepared.
It's a screenshot.
Is he wearing the watch? Is it just him wearing the watch?
It's him standing out of what looks like one of his limos, and it's alluding to the idea that he's wearing it, but it's him in a suit. But let's be real about this. It ain't him. It's his picture, his face, superimposed over somebody else's body.
Okay, wait.
That, as far as I can tell, looks like might be Department of Defense Pete Hegseth's body.
Yeah, look at that. His body. Look at that body. Look at, he's got like a 32-inch waist.
He's flat stomach, broad shoulders. Like they even tried to make the hands look a little older than normal, but that is clearly not Donald Trump's hands.
No, that's not his body. That's his head. They stuck his face. I'm not even sure that's his real hair. And here's the other thing. They're not even showing the watch. There's not even a watch. You can't see that he's wearing a watch. It says Trump watches.
Hilarious. He didn't even look like that in the 80s.
No. Look, hold on. I don't want to make this bigger. He's not wearing the watch. Why wouldn't they have him wearing the fucking watch? Oh God, these people, they can't do anything right.
Why? Let me tell you why. Because I bet you they use that same picture for all of his trash that he sells. I bet you that's a glamour shot, if you will, for his sneakers and his Bibles and his freaking whatevers, his widgets and his gadgets and all the stupid stuff that he sells. I bet you they said, well, let's not put the watch in the frame because we might use this for whenever I decide.
Well, so what? So what? He's got the watch on. Well, why wouldn't? Okay, so you're selling Trump ties, right? Why you can still have a watch on while you're selling ties?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't got a tie in that picture either.
All right, let's wrap it up. We're gonna wrap it up here, Maddie. On a Wednesday, we'll talk to you again in a couple of days when something else gets under your burr and you want to just come on and rant for a while. Anything in closing?
No, just I was wanting to give a shout out to my girl Ilhan Omar, who was screaming at him the whole time.
Yeah, she was. That I did see a clip of that where he's just looking at her and he's like, "You dirty Somali pirates." She's just. I mean, who talks like that? What kind of person talks like that other than a drunk in a bar outside Des Moines? That's who talks like that. But no. the president is talking like that.
The dog and pony show. That's all it was.
All right. Thank you, Maddie. There she goes. That's Maddie. She joins us periodically a couple of times a week, usually just because I need somebody to talk to and do a lot of heavy lifting here by myself. So I appreciate that. Yeah. So look, in closing, I started out today. I was very upset this morning when I came in. I'm like, what the fuck is Trump doing giving some kid Presidential Medal of Freedom? This kid might have a bunch of like date rape charges in his near future. Like, who knows, right? You cannot give an award that is that significant, that is that important, that has that much to do with being a good citizen. You can't give that award to somebody who hasn't been a good citizen all that long. He's 22, 23, something like that. So he's been a citizen, a legal citizen for 4 years, and he's already got the Presidential Medal of Freedom. That is absurd. And again, when I walked in here today, that was really upsetting to me. I'm like, this is bullshit. We are lowering the bar on everything. Then I pull up a list and I see that Biden started it. I got to be honest. You got to be honest. I can't be upset at Donald Trump giving that medal, the Presidential Medal of Freedom, to the hockey kid. I can't be upset and have it be a specifically Trumpian thing when I look at fucking Biden and he gave one to Megan Rapinoe and Christy Ledecky and come on. 70 years old. You need to be 70 to win the Presidential Medal of Freedom. You need to have a body of work where we can go, yeah, he's not going to lower. Because how would you like to be somebody? How would you like to be somebody that like really went through some shit and then was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom? And you're not a celebrity. You're like maybe a high school math teacher or something for 60 years. And that's like the thing that you did. And it's a big fucking deal. Like everywhere you go, people are like, he won the Presidential Medal of Freedom. And now all of a sudden it doesn't matter because Megan Rapinoe also has one. Katie Ledecky has one. And I can't even tell you the name of that goalie for the team, but I know that Jack Hughes doesn't have one. That is the other thing. I do think that if any one individual was going to be singled out with some sort of an award, you might want to give it to Jack Hughes, the guy who scored the winning goal and who famously lost his teeth. And, he actually put blood on the fucking ice. Okay. But the goalie got in the way of the puck a couple of times, and the president was really impressed by that. So here we are. All right. What else do we have to talk about here? We got a bunch of stuff to get into today. Let me see. Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? I don't want to do that story. I keep double clutching on this story out of Iowa about some frat guys doing frat guy things. And I just hate the whole concept of fraternities. I understand at their best what they can be, but what they are in reality is something completely different. So maybe we'll get into that if we have time. I don't know. Let's see. We did the Bill Gates. We talked about Epstein and Stephen Hawking, right? Maddie did the State of the Union. Okay, here we go. All right, yeah, let's boy, oh boy. Let's talk a little bit about Martin Short. Martin Short was in the news yesterday because his 42-year-old daughter committed suicide. 42 years old, Catherine Short. Not famous. She was a social worker. Apparently she, was a very beloved member of her little community and her little clique. She helped poor people. I love that. That's what I like. I like when somebody who comes from privilege, and the child of Martin Short would have most definitely come from privilege, but I like when somebody who comes from privilege doesn't just try to get, a sitcom. She didn't, apparently Catherine Short, she got a master's degree, NYU for social work, and then UCLA, a master's in social work. She dedicated her whole life to really poor people who were struggling. She was supposed to be incredibly good at it. She killed herself because mental illness is real and mental illness is scary as fuck, and not understanding it is the way that you can fall victim to it. So try and learn as much as you can about not mental illness in general, but your own mental state. We never give it any thought. It's another situation where it's like, why would she kill her? She's the daughter. She's pretty. She's 42. She's got a great career. Well, mental illness doesn't give a shit about any of that stuff. But what I want to talk about here is Martin Short. I want to give, I don't know, give flowers to Martin Short. I don't know if that's, I want to note the last 6 or 7 weeks of Martin Short's life. This man has been through some shit. Now, first and foremost, Martin Short went through some really terrible shit in his life. I mean, he's essentially like a Kennedy. He's had, hold on, let me make sure I have this right about his early life. I might be getting him confused. I know Stephen Colbert had a bunch of family members wiped out in a plane crash, but I think Martin Short also had, like, growing up, like half of his family or something terribly tragic occurred. Let me see here. Hold on, guys. I'm just double checking something. Okay, hold on. Give me one more second. Yep. All right, early life. Short was born, blah, 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 Hamilton, Ontario, youngest of 5 children. So, all right. It says here he lost his brother. His brother growing up died. His father was a terrible alcoholic who also died. Martin Short's life, his family life was not great. Okay. We'll just leave it at that without going through all of his shit. Now let's talk about the last 6-7 weeks of Martin Short's life. Okay. There was a group of 5 dudes, actually. I didn't want to cut out the other guy. There's a group of 5 guys who had lunch just about every Saturday afternoon at this place in wherever it was that they lived. I don't know specifically. But those 5 guys, that thick as thieves, the best friends group there among legendary American, comedic actors and comedians and writers and directors, was Martin Short, Billy Crystal, Larry David, Albert Brooks, and Rob Reiner. Think about that little fivesome. Do you want to have dinner with those guys? Oh my God, do I want to have dinner with those guys? So, of course, Martin Short was one of the first people on the scene of Rob Reiner. We learned that Billy Crystal arrived first because he lived down the street, but then Martin Short was there. And so Martin Short, just about 6-7 weeks ago, one of his absolute best friends was killed in a horrendously brutal manner by his own son. So Martin Short had to go through that. Then about 3 weeks later, one of Martin Short's oldest and closest collaborators and friends, Catherine O'Hara, dies. Boom. Like 2 weeks after Rob Reiner, one of his best friends. Boom. And now, like 3 weeks later after that, his daughter, his 42-year-old daughter, humor, comedy, an ability to constantly be looking for the next laugh. I promise you, people, more times than not, it comes from darkness. It comes from people whose reality, their existence, their everyday life is so sad or difficult or struggly or whatever, that they, as a defense mechanism, sort of retreat into everything is a joke, everything is funny. Let me try and lighten the mood around here. Hey, I can be funny. If I'm making people laugh, then they can't be crying. That's where a lot of comedy comes from, man. And just specifically in the last couple of weeks, Martin Short has gone through it. How terrible. Think of that. Rob Reiner, Catherine O'Hara, and now his daughter. Oh, and by the way, his wife Nancy in 2010, who he was married to for 30 years, had 3 kids with. Catherine, the one who killed herself yesterday, was one of the 3 kids. His wife Nancy died of cancer like in 2010, I think. And that was a big story. It was a big story because, Martin and Nancy, they were like a couple that was beloved by everybody. And she apparently went through a long and protracted cancer battle, and it was really difficult. The man has been through some shit. And oh yeah, well, he's rich and he's a celebrity and all that, so there's good. But man, I think everything in life, I think the scales get balanced to some degree. Certainly in the case of Martin Short, the scales between, oh my God, what an incredible life, and oh my God, what a sad and tragic life, seem to be pretty evenly balanced. Anyway, I love Martin Short, so keeping a good thought for him. I love him, even though Martin Short is one of these guys who, for me, sometimes there's a little bit of Robin Williams in there. Like I'm not a Robin Williams hater. I'm not a Robin Williams fan. I don't think Robin Williams' kinetic form of stream of consciousness comedy, I don't think it's good comedy. I think it's bad. I think Robin Williams is a mediocre improv artist who did a lot of cocaine and went on the Tonight Show. That's what I think Robin Williams was. I've never really been impressed. And more often than not, if you break down like one of these Robin Williams routines where you see him and he's just, and he's doing all of this shit, actually watch it and look for the jokes. You're not going to laugh. None of it is fucking funny. It's all just really weird. And people are laughing because it's just uncomfortable. People are laughing because they don't know what to do. Is this funny? Yeah, it's probably funny. Oh my God, he's doing another funny voice. That's always been my take on Robin Williams. Martin Short's got a little bit of that in him. Like Martin Short's a little bit on all the time sometimes, but not to the degree of Robin Williams. In fact, I love Martin Short. Martin Short, of course, Second City TV. There's a really good on YouTube. I don't know if you're like me. I like to listen to books on tape when I fall asleep. And there's a whole bunch of really good ones on YouTube. Celebrities, writing their stories or their life, or not just celebrities, but interesting people who take the book of their life that they've written and they just, they talk into a microphone and they read it to you. The Martin Short one, there's a Martin Short one that is really good. The Joan Rivers one is really good too. Anyway, best thoughts for Martin Short. He's been through a whole lot, and yikes. All right, moving on. Texas. My friends down there in Texas, if you are somebody who lives in is it Bathrop County? Or is it Bathrop? I don't know. It's a weird spelling. So, you getting ready to ride on the Charlie Kirk Highway? That's right. They're going to try and name a highway down there just outside of Austin, the Charlie Kirk Highway, or more to the point, we're going to try and do that. And that was completely shot down, which is tremendous for the state of Texas. I love this. This is the kind of thing that someone would propose in Florida and nobody would have the good sense to stand up to it. So you would have a highway in Florida named for Charlie Kirk, who is somebody who absolutely 100% did not represent all the people in this country. He wasn't a unifying figure. He was a divisive figure. Okay. I'm not playing the Charlie Kirk was a saint game anymore. He was a piece of shit who did a lot of damage to this country. And now he's gone and we can all move on. What happened to him? Terrible, tragic. Shouldn't wish that on anybody, and I never would. But it happened, and now we got to move on. I've watched the Zapruder tape of John F. Kennedy's head getting exploded a million times, right? This shit happens, and we move on. Charlie Kirk does not deserve roads named after him. He doesn't deserve schools named after him. And he's not going to get any of that shit, because as soon as the dust settles on this maddening time that we're in, we're all going to get sober again and realize that we named shit after fucking Charlie Kirk. It's not going to happen. Even in Texas, it was completely shut down. People showed up. They were like, yeah, fuck this. You are not going to use tax dollars to name a fucking highway after Charlie Kirk. So congratulations to the good folks of Texas, who are far more reasonable than the idiots in Florida, because the idiots in Florida would have completely signed off on this. You just know it. A proposal to rename a portion of highway in Texas after Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk was dropped Monday after more than 100 local residents showed up to their county commission meeting. Kirk, 31, founded TPUSA in 2012 and I don't care. Tyler Robinson, 20, I don't care. He's the guy that shot him. In the aftermath of Kirk's death, numerous plans were proposed across the country to honor his life, including statues. A Charlie Kirk statue on the campus of wherever, the world headquarters for Turning Point USA is absolutely appropriate, would be expected, and is, not a problem. A Charlie Kirk statue in your town square paid for by tax dollars is a fucking problem. It's a fucking problem. So you see the difference? Nobody's got a problem with Charlie Kirk, the Charlie Kirk Library being fucking built on the campus of Turning Point University. That's not a problem. You can do that. But it's when you start to force the rest of us to pretend any longer that Charlie Kirk was something more than what he was, which was a fucking influencer who was in it for the clicks, found himself a modicum of power, and used it in the worst ways possible. That's who Charlie Kirk is. You're not going to convince me otherwise. Died tragically, shouldn't have happened, was horrifying to watch. We wish it didn't happen, but it did, so we move on, and we're not going to fucking give them airports. We're not going to give them fucking streets. We're not going to give them schools. We're not giving them highways. Okay, move on. Small town, rural America with 500 people want to name Main Street. If everybody in that town agrees, well, guess what? That's what democracy is, and that's fine. But on major highways where all of us have to use, you don't need to be naming them after controversial figures like this. The renaming plan was under consideration at the Bastrop. See, I can't pronounce that. Is it How do you pronounce Bastrop? Are we just pronouncing it Bastrop? Because that doesn't seem right, but whatever. The renaming plan that was under consideration at the Bastrop County Commission on Monday was to designate a portion of FM 969, a farm-to-market road about 30 minutes east of downtown Austin that is maintained by the Texas Department of Transportation, to rename it the Charlie Kirk Corridor. This according to the Austin American Statesman. Oh, hey, by the way, this is pretty funny. This was going on the social medias yesterday. I saw it on Facebook and I saw it on Twitter. So I don't know if you guys are familiar what's going on up here in this neck of the woods. My Chicago Bears are they don't want to be at Soldier Field anymore, which is their stadium right there on the lake. It's fucking cool as shit, but they want to own their own stadium because money. So, so they're going to move out of like what is the coolest location in the entire NFL for a fucking team right there on the lake next to the marina, settled in the museum campus adjacent to downtown. That is a fucking baller location. But, they want a dome because of Super Bowl, because money. So the Chicago Bears have a couple of locations that they are looking at. There is a location in Arlington Heights, which is a far north suburb, not convenient to anybody who lives in the city, the south side of the city, the south suburbs, the southwest suburbs, the west suburbs. It's not convenient to anybody except for rich people who live up in the north suburbs, and they want to build the stadium there, Arlington Heights, Illinois. But here's the problem. The state of Illinois is not interested in building stadiums for billionaire football owners at the taxpayers' expense. Makes sense, right? You should feel that way. I feel that way. I now live here in Illinois. Hell, I just got re-registered to vote here, got my driver's license stuff all settled. I am a person here, a tax-paying citizen of Illinois. And yeah, I don't want these fuckers. I don't want my tax dollars, especially when we're fighting over school lunch programs. I don't want my tax dollars to go to help the McCaskey family build a $6 billion stadium. That's fucking bullshit. And normally that situation would die, except here in the Chicago area, we happen to be, well, we're border neighbors with Indiana, Hammond, Indiana, Gary, Indiana. They're right there. They're right across the street from Chicago. You can be a kid who lives in Chicago and your neighbor across the street is a kid who lives in Indiana, right? They're right there. Literally, there's not like a river or a moat or a mountain range that you have to go over that separates Illinois. Nothing except a four-way stop sign separates Illinois from Indiana, okay? Just understand that. The second option is to build a stadium there in Indiana, on the lake, in like a really cool area that could super need the development and the economic infusion and everything that would happen there to turn that stretch of Lake Michigan into the Midwestern Las Vegas, because that's what's going to happen. Northwest Indiana, right outside Chicago. We've already got the casinos. There's a Hard Rock casino and hotel. There is a Ameristar casino hotel right there on the beaches of Lake Michigan, 20 minutes from downtown Chicago. And that's where they want to put the stadium. But the problem is, of course, it's in Indiana. But the difference between what I told you about Illinois, which is me as a citizen of Illinois, I'm like, I don't want to fucking spend $6 billion of our tax dollars on a stadium for a bunch of billionaires, right? Indiana, they're a red MAGA state. They're down, man. They are like, yeah, we'll pay for the whole fucking thing. And we don't even care what our people think. They are screwing. The state of Indiana are absolutely bending over the citizens of Indiana, and they're going to spend $6 billion on what could be the greatest football stadium that has ever been built. That's how into it Indiana is. Why? Because they want to be able to say that they stole the Chicago Bears out of Illinois. Now, ain't nobody moving, right? The practice facilities are going to be at the same place. They're going to call them the Chicago Bears. The players are all going to live where they live. It's just that their new stadium is now 20 minutes away from where their old stadium was. But again, it crosses an arbitrary border created by men, so people are freaking out. And they're like, oh, it's a different state. Gary, Indiana is not a different. Nobody, if you were born and raised in Gary, Indiana, and you were born and raised in Hammond, Indiana, or you were born and raised in Hegewisch is the neighborhood of Chicago. If there is no difference between you three groups of people, you're all the fucking same. Again, anyway, point is this. I need to do my own thing on the Bears Stadium issue because I haven't brought it on this stream because I don't want to bore you guys with it. But yesterday on Twitter and on Facebook, an incredibly cool prank was going around and people were starting to freak out. Because Indiana, a red MAGA state, is willing to spend all their citizens' tax dollars building the Chicago Bears a magnificent palace on the water. Because they're doing that, the rumor that was going around was, yeah, and they're going to name it Charlie Kirk Stadium, which I thought was hysterical. That would be awesome because, you see, I support Indiana. I, as a resident of Illinois and a Chicago Bear fan, I want the Bears to build this stadium in Indiana. The stadium that they're saying they're going to build for me and my Bears is like 90 minutes away from where I am. This Indiana stadium that they're saying they're going to build is 10 minutes away from where I am. So yes, I would like to see the economic resurgence there on the south side that will inevitably come after they build this gigantic entertainment complex on the beaches of, Northwest Indiana, which is what we are hoping for. But for the idea to be that, what they're not telling us is that they're going to name it Charlie Kirk Stadium is fucking amazing. I love that. It was a joke. It was a rumor, but a whole bunch of Chicago people freaked the fuck out yesterday. We can't allow Indiana to pay for it and then honor Charlie Kirk. And then I was participating in this and I said, well, Charlie was from Chicago. He was a Bears fan. Just trying to fuel the fire. He was a Bears fan. We can call it, we're going to name it after a Bear fan. We could call it either Charlie Kirk Stadium or Ashton Kutcher Stadium. I'm a little short thinking of other Bear fans. Anyway, so there is going to be no Charlie Kirk Highway in Texas, and no, the new Bear Stadium in northern Indiana is not going to be called the Charlie Kirk Stadium. All right. Let's see. Oh, okay. So we'll talk about this. Here we go. Here's a story that I teased that I think a lot of people were waiting to hear. So Pedro Pascal. Pedro Pascal is awesome. I love this guy. Everything that Pedro Pascal does is awesome. I'm a big fan. But so is my 16-year-old son. He's a big fan too. Pedro Pascal might be gay. And look, and I don't mean, how do I say this? It doesn't matter. It's 2026. It's not a big deal breaker. And quite frankly, the way this story was rolled out yesterday is a testament to how far we've come with the idea of sexual orientation and all that. Because as the story was rolled out yesterday, TMZ broke it. And the headline wasn't Pedro Pascal outed in homosexual affair. It wasn't that. It was Pedro Pascal seen out with his boyfriend. Just very matter of fact. That's how it should be. It should just be very matter of fact, unless you were still living in, where I live. I spent a lot of time in the mid 90s. I still go back there and I'm like, wait, he's gay? That matters to me. Wait, does it? Wait, doesn't matter. Used to matter to me. It doesn't matter. Why did it matter to me? It doesn't really matter to me. So I thought that was interesting the way it was presented. And I also, like I said, I got a 16-year-old son, and my 16-year-old son, he's really not bigoted in any way, except Packer and Cub fans. He does not like Green Bay Packer or Chicago Cub fans. He is definitely racist when it comes to those groups of people. He doesn't like them, but he's not and I had some concerns. He's a white kid growing up in Plano, Texas. I don't know what kind of shit is going to be, in his head, but no, he's not liberal. Like my kid, he's not a liberal. He's pretty moderate, maybe even a little bit conservative. But he's never given a shit about gay. He's never given a shit about, I'll give you an example. He's like really attracted to black girls. Like all the girls that he likes are like black girls. And for me growing up, when I grew up, that would be the height of exotic. I didn't have any black girls in my school. He does. But so what I'm saying is he wasn't raised like me. I was raised in a different time where your ethnicity or your culture was something that jumped out first, right? It's my Irish buddy. Yeah, my buddy's the Jew. Get the Jew over here, right? That's how we were raised. It wasn't we weren't excluding anybody, right? We were just like I say this all the time. My grandpa had like 3 best friends, right? He had Louis the Kraut. This is literally how my grandpa described his friends. He had Louis the Kraut. He had Ray the Jew. He had the Greek, who was just simply the Greek. He had the Greek. And then there was Dutch. And Dutch was named Dutch because he was some kind of, whatever, something like that. And they just shortened it and we're going to call him Dutch. But that's how these people back in those times, that's how they interacted with each other, because your heritage, your culture, your background, where you're from, that wasn't necessarily something that would marginalize you in the eyes of these people, but instead it was something that made you interesting. It was, your background is different than mine. So that's kind of how my kid is too. Like my kid is fascinated by, backgrounds and ethnicities and all that kind of stuff. See, there's a way to be able to do that. You're allowed to be curious as a human being. You're allowed to care about other people. And when you notice something different about somebody, you are allowed to talk to them about it. Why? For your own edification. Maybe you're just looking to learn a little bit of something. Every time you ask a question about somebody's ethnicity or their culture or their background or whatever, it doesn't necessarily need to be met with, how dare you? Right? That's what we need to get past. We need to get past that. We can be curious about each other. We can be fascinated by each other's backgrounds. But the gay thing has always been a little bit different because that's not cultural ethnicity. That's more of an orientation. And there are still people out there who, think it's a choice, which, I always say to these people, and a lot of them are very, well-intended people, but there are people out there who do believe that, homosexuality is a choice. I don't think they're 100% wrong. I think there are a lot of people who are, sampling, just going around doing it. They're not necessarily, if they grew up in a different time, they grew up in the 1950s, they wouldn't be bisexual in college. You know what I mean? But it's 2026. It's a little different. So, they're going to be bisexual in college. That's not the same as somebody who is obviously just orientated differently. And I believe it comes from birth. And the reason that I think it comes from birth is because I'm a straight man. Oh, really, Pugs? I'm pretty gay sometimes. I got some gay things that I like, movies and rom-coms and all that. But no, I am being honest. I'm heterosexual. And I believe that it's not a choice as far as the actual orientation for legitimate people who are, attracted to the same sex. I believe it's not a choice because I couldn't make that choice. I could not get an erection. I couldn't just cosplay as a gay man. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't. Do you think you could? If you're one of these people who are like, no, it's a choice. Well, then I ask you, could you get hard in a shower around a bunch of other guys? Because I truly don't think I could. And that's why I don't think that it's a choice. I think that some people can get hard in front of other guys and some people can't. So brings us to Pedro Pascal, who is without question one of the most masculine Hollywood actors. He plays swashbucklers and he doesn't play like super tough guys. He's not Jason Statham, but he's Pedro Pascal is, he can tangle ass if he needs to. He's heroic in a lot of the roles that he chooses. So now TMZ outs him yesterday walking down the street with his boyfriend, and my kid was cool with it. Like I told you earlier today, I said to my kid, I go, hey, did you hear? I think Pedro Pascal might be gay. And he's like, so? I'm like, okay, good answer. I like that. Anyway, here's the story. Look. It's undeniable. The picture is undeniable. You can't just say, no, they're just friends. And he was rubbing his friend's ass as they walked down the street. You can't. It's undeniable. This is definitely All right, here you go. So this is it from, all right, I guess this is Pedro Pascal here on the right. And this is some dude, Rafael Olara. It says, Pedro Pascal was seen getting handsy with pal Rafael Olara. See, this is not a heterosexual. This is not two heterosexual dudes walking down the street. What, his arm? They just, no, come on, stop it. If me and Barney were walking down the street, this would never happen. Okay, just saying. And then you've got this. There he is. There's Pedro Pascal. What's wrong with his knee? Look at this. He's like kissing his. Okay, so Pedro Pascal, if he's not full on gay, then he's definitely, swimming in both pools. And isn't that interesting? Oh, what is this? Do we actually have a video? Oh, it looks like there's a full video here. Can we see that? Yeah, there it is. Hold on. Do we have some sound on this? No sound. All right, let's watch this here. Oh, there we go. All right, let's watch him. Pedro Pascal. Is this or isn't this boyfriend? Yeah, look at that. You see the way you touched that arm? Yeah, all right. Oh, I had the wrong guy, man. Pedro Pascal's wearing the green hat. I thought it was the other dude. So okay, this is important. The other dude seems to be the one that's, doing the gay stuff. Hold on, let's watch this again. Now that we know that, I thought that Pedro Pascal was the guy without the hat. Turns out Pedro Pascal is the guy with the hat. All right, he's stopping. Wonder what he's doing here. All right, he's walking. All right, so this is the first move of, that was not how a buddy stops a buddy. No, hold on, dude. That is not how it happens. That was sensitive. That was, hold on, baby, right? Are they having a fight? What do you think? I think they're having a fight. Now he's walking away. The other guy is trying to touch him. All right, here they are. They're walking. I got to be honest, Pedro doesn't look like he wants to be there. He looks like this is a breakup walk. All right, now they just look like two dudes. That's fine. Now they just look like two dudes. The touching is odd. What's he drinking? What do you go to a corner store and get one of those Jabritos or what? Those Mexican sodas? What are they? They're pretty good. All right, well, now they know they're walking in front of a camera, so they're not doing any of that stuff. All right, there you go. Interesting. Look, I think it's because I'm Gen X. I don't know why I'm fascinated finding out that a movie star is gay. I mean, they're theater people. I already believe that most theater people are gay. So there you have it. Pedro Pascal, he may in fact be in some kind of a relationship. Do we care? No, not really. But is it still interesting? Yeah, I don't know, no matter how old I get. Is this because I'm from a different generation? I mean, my son's complete lack of interest in this story suggests that might be the case. I was in a pot store recently. This is just because it's because of my generation, right? I was in a pot store recently, and this happens every time I go into a pot store. I'm in Illinois. Pot stores are legal. I'm over 21. I'm totally legal in every freaking regard. And I'm in the pot store. Doesn't matter how many times I go into a pot store or how long it has been legal here in Illinois, I still feel like I'm doing something wrong. I still feel like it's illegal, right? You're buying all really? You're looking around, you're saying things in hushed tones. Is this good shit? It's weird. And I'll probably never change that because that's what my mind is locked into. My mind is locked into marijuana is illegal. What we're doing here is illegal. And maybe it's the same way with when I find out that people are homosexual. Maybe it's just because of when I was raised, when nobody was homosexual. You have to understand there were no gay people until Melissa Etheridge. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Katie Lang, right? Katie Lang was the first gay person. I mean, we had our suspicions. Paul Lynn, Liberace, Martina Navratilova. I mean, we had our suspicions, but we didn't know. We didn't know. It wasn't a thing. And then when we did know, it was like, wow. And then everybody was like, so what? And I'm like, yeah, really, so what? But now here we are all these years later, and I'm still interested when I find out that people who I just assume are straight. Why? There's the problem. Why do I just assume people are straight? I'm beginning from a place of everybody is straight. Well, that's because most people are straight. All right, there we go. Most people are straight. The vast majority of people are still straight, right? We can say that. So, all right. So I guess it is okay to be surprised when you find out that somebody is gay when you assume that they were straight simply because most people are straight. There you go. All right. Pedro Pascal. Still one of my favorites. I love that guy. Let's see here. Here's some big news out of the world of music. Journey is not getting back together. What? Journey. Just a small town now. Journey. Living in a lonely world. Journey. Steve Perry, of course, is Journey. Like, don't give me this little Filipino guy, right? There we go. Talking about ethnic and culture again. They had a little Filipino guy replace Steve Perry. Steve Auggieri. Remember that guy? They went out and got a guy that sang just like Steve Perry and had a name that was strangely similar to Steve Perry. Steve Perry was replaced by Steve Auggieri. So they went with that guy for a bunch of years, and they did the festival thing because nobody's going to go see legitimately Journey without Steve Perry. You know what people will go see? I'll go see Steve Perry. Isn't that sad how it works out that way? Like, I'm more likely to spend premium dollars, like premium ticket dollars, to see Steve Perry singing Journey songs than I am willing to pay to see Journey without Steve Perry and some other guy singing the songs. I guess that's just what comes with being a lead singer. You become most identified with the music. But anyway, there was a story. Neil Schon, the legendary guitarist of Journey, Neil Schon, had been floating the idea that possibly in 2026 there could be a Journey reunion with Steve Perry coming back to join the band. And Steve Perry almost immediately said, yeah, fuck that. No. Oh, sorry. Oh, that's one of my favorite things to do. Argue with people that Oh Sherry was a Journey song and not a Steve Perry song. It was a Steve Perry solo song, but Steve Perry released a solo album at the same time that Journey Escape was exploding. So everybody just kind of confuses it and thinks that it's it's a Journey song when in fact it's actually just a Steve Perry solo song. But it sounds exactly like Journey. So I like to say that my favorite Journey song is Oh Sherry. That's just to fuck with people. Well, that's not a Journey song. Yes, it is. It's total. Listen to it. It sounds exactly like Journey. Oh, Sherry. All right, so Steve Perry responds to Neil Schon. Neil Schon had floated the balloon that possibly Journey could reunite in 2026. Steve Perry says, to all my friends, I've been hearing these recent rumors, and I want it. You know what? Why not share it? Why not allow you people to see the words of Steve Perry for yourselves? All right, here you go. All right, so this is Steve Perry. To all my friends, I've been hearing these recent rumors, and I wanted to speak to all of you directly. While I'm always grateful for the love people still have for Journey, the rumors about me rejoining the band are simply not true, and I want to gently put them to rest. I completely understand why people would hope for that. The music we created together means a great deal to me. But I'm continuing to explore new creative work. What, Steve? What are you doing? What are you making, soda bread these days? What do you mean new creative work? Steve Perry, you ain't done anything since Oh Sorry. I mean, when was the last time Steve Perry put a song out? When was the last time Journey put a song out? I completely understand why people would hope for that. The music we created together means a great deal to me, but I'm continuing to explore new creative work and really enjoy working on new music that reflects where I am today. At the Shady Palms Retirement Facility. Thank you for your continued support throughout the years. Your loyalty has never gone unnoticed, and I am forever humbly grateful. Sincerely, Steve Perry. Oh, no! All right, so there you go. Sorry, folks. I don't know how many of you out there were like holding your breath waiting for the big Journey reunion, but it seems to be not happening. U2's got a new song, but why am I even mentioning it? Because I can't play it. Because remember what happened last time we tried to play something that I didn't have copyright rights to? Yeah, they shut the show down. U2's got a new song called American Obituary. Apparently, it is a takedown of the Trump administration. And, well, it's U2. Nobody cares. Have you heard it? Have you heard? I didn't even bother listening to it. I just saw that U2's got a new song critical of... It's so easy to be critical. You know what I mean? It's... Oh, God. I mean, I can't blame them. You know, they looked at... I think Bono... Bono is a bit of a jock sniffer for Bruce Springsteen and always has been. Like anything that Bruce does, Bono's like, yeah, I'm with Bruce, right? So maybe that's it. Bruce had the song that he put out, the Alex Preddy song, it became a hit. And then what Bono decided that he was going to do one too. American Obituary is what the new U2 single is called. So there you have it. I haven't heard it. I don't know. All right, we're going to end the show with something I teased back at the start of this very broadcast for a broadcast live stream for a Wednesday. I told you about my love and affection for the study. I love studies. I love new studies that are released. I love finding out little quirky things about us all. New study came out this morning. I saw it in my inbox. I was like, oh, that's interesting. It is a study that took a look at the states here in the United States and then tried to determine by using a multitude of methodologies who are the most lying sacks of shit in this country. Who lies the most? The most deceitful state in the United States. What is the most deceitful state in the United States? All right, so this will be a fun list. We'll go through this. Now, I'm not going to start out with number one. Honestly, once you hear the list, like I asked at the start of the show, I said, all right, tell me what you think came in number one most deceitful state in America. And then I said, no, don't do it because you can just look it up. In retrospect, like you may not think of it right away. Like somebody said, Virginia, I think they were maybe thinking about proximity to Washington, D.C., all that. After you hear what the number one most deceitful state is, most people will probably go, oh, yeah, I didn't even think about that. But oh, yeah, totally. The number one most deceitful state in the United States is Nevada, where everybody's playing poker and lying to each other, and it's gamblers and it's scumbags, and it's just the shadiest fucking people that you can imagine. All right, so there's your number one, Nevada, with an 8.31 score. Don't know what that means. Got no context for you, but it's got an 8.31. That makes it the most deceitful state here in the Union. Let me give you the top 10. Because we don't need to go through. I'll tell you the most. All right, we gave you the most deceitful. I'm going to give you the most honest state. This is the state that comes in last place for deceit. One might then assume that it's the most honest state. So let's take a look at it that way. North Dakota. Remember, I told you that Nevada had a score of 8.31. North Dakota's lying score is 5.01, a whole 3 points lower, almost 3.5. All right, so that's 50. That's the most honest state. I'll give you a couple more honest states, okay? North Dakota came in at 50. Hawaii came in at 49. South Dakota came in at 48. What's that about? Like, wouldn't you think North Dakota would be 50 and South Dakota would be 49 or, vice versa? But no, Hawaii squeezes in the middle of it. They're like, you people in South Dakota are way more dishonest than the people in North Dakota. All right, North Dakota, most honest. Hawaii, second most honest. South Dakota, next most honest. Minnesota, nice, man. Those people are amazing. What this fucking country has put those people through recently. Minnesota, nice. Idaho, Montana. All right, there you go. That's all we need to do. Wisconsin. Yeah. Wisconsin's definitely nice. Minnesota and Wisconsin, very nice. They're very nice people. They're good people. Good, hardworking, hardy people. It's cold there a lot. They're always willing to welcome you in and shove some food down your throat. All right. So Nevada is the most dishonest. I said it again. Number 18, by the way, for your own personal edification, Texas. Texas comes in at number 18. Texas is I'm sorry. I got that wrong. Texas comes in at 13. Texas is the 13th most dishonest state Illinois, where I am right now, is number 18. So Texas is the 13th most dishonest. Illinois is the 18th most dishonest. Any way you slice it, we are on the bad side of that half. We are both not real truthful states, Texas and Illinois. All right, let me give you the top 10. So coming in at number 10, is this 10? 10. All right, let's try this. Pennsylvania is number 10 or 11. I'm not sure. I may have done this wrong. Pennsylvania is the number 10th most dishonest state. That's followed by Georgia, dishonest state, followed by Arizona, dishonest state, followed by California, dishonest state, followed by Alabama, dishonest state. Top 5. Here you go. The top 5 most dishonest states. South Carolina is number 5. Delaware is number 4. Delaware, where everybody incorporates their bullshit lying companies. Delaware is number 4. Florida is the 3rd most dishonest state. Yeah, I would have clocked Florida in the top 5 for sure. Florida, there's so much, a lot of ne'er-do-wells. I don't even know what a ne'er-do-well is, but I know that if you're looking for one, you can find them in Florida. Ne'er-do-wells, number 2 most dishonest state. Here's a weird one. This is like the diamond of dishonesty. They must be really compacted tightly in here. Rhode Island is the 2nd most dishonest state in America. Rhode Island with a score of 8.20. Rhode Island, what's a lot of shit. You know, Rhode Island. I do know a little bit about Rhode Island. I got a buddy who was raised in Providence. He's awesome, but you know, the stories that he tells, the entirety of Rhode Island is like a really bad neighborhood of Boston. How's that? I think that's a good way. Now, when I say bad, I don't mean like, you know, I think when most people think of bad areas of cities, they think of like, you know, the ghetto or the barrio or, you know, someplace where brown people live. No, Rhode Island is all white people. It's all like white Southie Boston trash. The entirety of the state, they're all like mobbed up, fucking corrupt. So I kind of get that. Kind of get why Rhode Island comes in at number 2. And of course, the most dishonest state, again, hindsight being what it is, Nevada. Because of course it is. Nevada is where all the cheats and the scoundrels, that's where they all go. All right, guys, I think that's going to be it for today. I think we're done. I think we're done with today's show. What a fun show. I so appreciate you being here with me. Maddie took up about an hour with some scintillating breakdowns of the State of the Union. Thank you so much to Maddie. She'll join us again very shortly. Also, one more time, let's thank our executive producer of today's show, the incredibly talented Heidi. Heidi got us through the last month. She came out of nowhere. She dropped a bomb in the tips, and she helped us finance the show for the next month. So Heidi is our executive producer. If you want to be tomorrow's executive producer, all you got to do is be the person who tips the most. It doesn't really take much. We haven't gotten any tips yet. Drop a little something there in either the Venmo or the Cash App, and you can now sleep well tonight, knowing that you're doing your part to support opposition talk. That's right. That's what we do every day here since 2021. Talk for the opposition. I don't care about the 15% of you fucking crazy people with your red hats and your closets and waiting in line in rainstorms to see an 80-year-old fucking pedophile give a speech. You 15% are gone forever. Don't want to have anything to do with you. Same can be said for you folks on the left. You 15% that sit around your kitchen tables with your weird blue-haired friends trying to figure out how to make bombs so you can destroy the Tesla dealership going up in your town. You 15 on the left are gone. This show every day is for the 70% of us who are left. The 70% of us. Some of us are a little conservative. Some of us are a little bit more liberal. But we're all of the same mind that this is the greatest country the good Lord has ever built. Or actually, you don't even have to believe in the good Lord. That's not a prerequisite for this show. But point is this. Since 2021, every day at noon, we've been doing this show for who I like to peg as the normal people, non-radicalized, non-partisan, people we can still do business with. And I thank you so much for joining me. We'll be back tomorrow at noon. And remember to steal what Jeff Kavanaugh says there in Dallas Sports Radio all the time. Just be fucking cool to people, right? Don't lose your shit on people. Be cool to people. Be nice to people. Because as Jeff says, you never know what's going on in their lives. You never know what the fuck it is that they're pushing back down for the next couple of hours so that they can do their job. We all struggle. We'll see you back here tomorrow at noon. I love you all. Bye.